afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, anywhere in the world. Guys, I'm not going to say it here. We don't want you guys to know what we're doing. But when you walk into Peabody's,
an affordable insurance company? Then look no further. Peter Massaco Insurance, located in central New Jersey, is one of the best around. Peter Massaco Insurance specializes in homeowners insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, business insurance, and many more. We even offer a free financial planning consultation. We partner with over 20 top-rated companies to make sure we provide affordable prices to our clients. We have a full bilingual staff to fit your needs as well. Let Peter Massaco Insurance help you today.
Good day, good day, good day, good day. Good to be back on the closing argument. Today is September 6th, 2023. We got 34 more days to go to this big election in our country. In 34 days, Liberians will go to the polls to either re-elect President George Weah for another 6 years or elect a new president. You have 19 other candidates vying for the presidency. So by the end of the day, we will have a new president, either a re-elected president or a new president in the next 34 days. The race is getting, all the guys are on the campaign trail. Everyone's making a case to the voters. They are crisscrossing the country and trying to seek the voters' mandate for 6 years term. So people are taking a side, people are making endorsements, even the various platforms. Some platforms you notice once there are certain platforms, once you are for Joseph Boyka, you will tune into that platform to watch. If you are for the other side, you tune to another platform to watch. People are having their own preferences now. But at the end of the day, we will have an election, and Liberians will go to the polls and cast the votes, the ballots, to elect the president and 15 senators, including representatives. So we look forward to that day. Some of us are getting ready to jump on the plane and get to Liberia to take part in that process. It's going to get, the next few days, it's going to get tough, going to get nasty, going to get interesting. Tomorrow, as you all know, is considered the ruling coalition for democratic change have declared tomorrow the Blue Rally Day. CDC says that tomorrow they're going to put people put their partisan supporters, well-wishers in the streets of Monrovia and its environs to officially launch the campaign. That's what happened tomorrow. I mean, CDC, they are noted for staging large rally when they're launching the campaign, and tomorrow will be no exception. But we want to see the momentum, whether it's in their favor or they're going to surpass what they have done in the past. Hopefully, we'll have someone from the CDC campaign team to give us update about the planned rally tomorrow and tell us how prepared they are to put the partisans and supporters in the streets of Monrovia to show send a warning, send a message that they are still in this to win and they are the ruling establishment. I think on the 17th of September is the Unity Party's day. They say it will be a Green Rally Day too. So we look forward to see what happens on tomorrow and in the coming days. But unfortunately today, most of our producer, Ayisin, is not well. We wish him speedy recovery. And the other guy is on assignment across the country. But I'm waiting for the other guys to join me. So while I wait for them, let me just welcome some of our viewers who are already on. I see Titus Westlaw. I see Kitele Topagi, watching from 18th Street in Baltimore City. They call it, say, the Winner Street. I see Ruth Roberts Bengba. What she said? She wrote something there. I don't know what she wrote there. I see Willie Collins, Liberian People CNN. I see Henry Doe, my big brother from Providence, Rhode Island. Mr. Doe, he worked at the Ministry of Finance prior to coming to the States. And he came to the States with his family. And now he's still supporting the CDC. Mr. Henry Doe in Rhode Island. One of Liberia's committed and dedicated public servant. I also see Willie Collins. This guy, he's always here. He's doing of this show of the viewers because he's here 24. He's always here, the first to be online. Christian Roberts. I see Tony Johnson. He asking which party are you supporting, Tony? I will let you know in the coming weeks. Okay, just chill. Garment Giflaw, watching from Atlanta, Georgia. I also see Felicia Jeppo Johnson, my big brother, Al Phillips. He is the CM policy advisor for the independent candidate Robert Morris and Bishop Cecile Coffee Brown in the team. Elkina Al Phillips from Houston, Texas. I pray, man, anybody who wins the election, and then the next government should not. There's a guy that you need to help with that. Mike Coffey. He's all about energy. His whole thing is about electricity, making sure the Liberia is electrified. Elkina Al Phillips. He got a great plan for how to electrify Liberia in 100 days. So that's a guy any team would love to have on the team. Whether is the president we have is re-elected or any of the new guys that running. Don't forget the name Elkina Al Phillips. Yes, he's from Houston, Texas. That guy he's a genius when it comes to a lot of energy. He knows he knows his stuff. Melvin Yandan, watching from DSM. Thompson B. Boss. from Sydney, Australia. We also have Dr. Hawaii Jones, Daniel Kelvin Famboyne. We have Solomon Ted from River G. Wow, the guy is from River G, Fish County. Solomon Ted, man, I hope you could call and tell us, give us an update on River G. I hope you can call us to let us know what's happening there. We have Steve Quay from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Okay. Mohammed the Prophet Kamara, following from Guinea, Sikuri, Guinea. Solomon Gagana, Di Maria Angel from Exton, PA. Wow, you're not far from here. I'm in Reading. Moses Zia, Charles Stephen, Organized Bet. Christian Rao, tell me what to do. Thank you, Christian. I see you. I hear you, okay? Nico Doe from South Dakota. Slack G. Sony. Jordan Kerr Ninkpan Jr. from University of Ghana. Oh, Legon. I went there for a conference way back in the 90s. Watching from Minnesota, Michelle Diode. Otello Suave from PA. Michael T. Biddle. Michael, man, if you can call him, man, tell us about Nimba. You in Nimba. Tell us what happened in Nimba. Peter Atto from Minnesota. Connor Gimpa from Massachusetts. Dixon Tayi Foley from Central African Republic. Oh my God. Dr. Peabody, man, welcome. Help me, man. Help me welcome the people, please.
Okay, Tomalin George, it is good to be here on this Wednesday edition of the nation premiere show, The Closing Argument. It is the nation only diverse and open closing argument. So it's good to be here and it's good to see you. You know, there's been a lot going on. We saw a lot of things going on. We saw Mr. Cummings touring different part of Liberia. We saw the VB boycott as well. We also saw folks from the CDC. We saw yesterday, we saw Deputy Minister Samora Wolokoli he was presented a gift, an award yesterday by a group. And he also was doing this chat on chat, you know, talking about the tangibles and what they have done. And, you know, I listened to it yesterday. You know, so it's been a lot going on. It was very good. Honestly, I listened to it. And I saw Mr. Cummings as well, walking through those different part of Monrovia. And, you know, Jefferson Koji was in Nimba. I think they had a major endorsement from a son of Nimba yesterday. And, you know, 34 more days to elections. So there's a lot going on. A lot is going on. So, you know, we have somebody from as far as Sacramento, California, Ayo Spencer. Wow. And Abdullah Duka, how you doing this afternoon? Thompson B. Boys. I think you have called a lot of the people names here to me. I don't want to repeat them, but a lot of folks from all over, especially somebody was calling from the university. I mean, Washington University of Ghana in Legon. Very interesting, my old home. In fact, I'll be in Ghana this month, the end of this month. I'll be back in Accra. So that will be interesting. But guys, we are still waiting. If you just logging on, just share the show, share it. You know, you come in, just help and click the share button as many times as you can. You know, we have Felicia Gibson watching from Sweden. Welcome, Felicia. I went to Stockholm last year. You have somebody watching from Providence, Rhode Island, John Cratty. So Solomon Tier, who is all the way from River Gee, man. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for watching this show. And King Ashford Wright, watching us from North Carolina. Interesting. I mean, somebody said, "Did you give my message to Ben?" I probably forgot the message. So, did you give a message when you came to Philadelphia? Did you give my message? When you came to that funeral, oh boy, we're getting old now. We forget. Uh, so it's good to have people from as far as Stockton, Sweden, Sacramento, North Carolina, River Gee, Liberia, Ghana, and so it shows that Willie Collins said the Liberia people CNN. Yeah, we try to be various, and sometimes we just sit back and allow the conversation, the crossfire, to go on. Josiah Mashaleh from Monrovia, Painesville District 5, Dixon Taifole. I think Tony have called this name. Peter Adro watching from 1000 Lake, Minnesota. Wow. Thank you, Peter. We just want you to share this as you log on and just click the share button. Invite more people. We want this to be an exciting show tonight. But it's 34 more days to the election, and it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. Like where we see all the candidates, they are very, very busy. From Mr. Cummings to Vice President Waka, President Weah. Tomorrow, I understand there will be a big day for the CDC. They probably going to lock down part of Liberia. From what I'm hearing, it's going to be a really big day for them. So we're looking forward to it. We'll have I believe a live broadcast after this, but we're talking about a lot going on. We saw people, small groups from the CDC and ANC. I saw Charlene Bronskin yesterday was on the street giving people flyers in the Texas and cars. I saw Samura Wolokali in part of Monrovia. I believe was an intellectual center. He was taking questions, but they were also presenting him an award for helping them and all that. So Tomalin we're looking forward to a very great show tonight. And also we have folks on YouTube. We gotta recognize those folks on YouTube. One area that we don't. I'm gonna try to pull up YouTube and see the folks. So there's three ways you can watch us. You can go on KMTV page. You can click on KMTV, and then you will see the Closing Acumen. Or you can just go and say the Closing Acumen Live. If you go to Closing Acumen Live, there we are again. And then you can also go on YouTube, the KMTV page, and YouTube. You will see the Closing Acumen. So we're looking forward. We'll be joined by other panelists soon, and we're looking forward to have a great show. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I've been calling a lot of names. Big Smoke, Gaudet Williams, Anna Taylor, he's the president. We are is the chosen from Jesus Christ. All right. You make Liberia better. Bilson pays it 12 years. The cars, wolves parking, and now the tire, but they won't come to rescue. Sentiment Joe, what you reading? Eric Kwame.
Oh, okay, let me help you. We got a release, since the American ambassador took leave of, he left Liberia, Ambassador McCarthy. President Biden nominated Christopher Tuna to be the American ambassador destined to Liberia, but he's yet to be confirmed by the United States Senate. So they have Charge Affairs, Catherine Rodriguez. Today, she, for the first time, had an interactive engagement with the Liberian press. And that's what she said. She issued a statement. She said, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today for my first formal interaction with the Liberian media. It is an honor to meet you, and I applaud the vital work that you and other Liberian journalists are doing every day to objectively report and inform the Liberian public about the most important issues of the day. I look forward to answering your questions. She said, first, I have had a heartwarming reception since my arrival through my interaction with Liberians from all walks of life. You have a rich heritage of being the oldest republic in Africa, and your people are extremely and rightly proud of this history. Like other countries in the world, Your citizens will soon be celebrating your democracy by flocking to the polls to choose your leaders and representatives. It is a solemn responsibility. It is important that the government must ensure that there are fair, free, and peaceful elections and to hold accountable. Listen to the part. She said to hold accountable those that would attempt to disrupt it. Officials must also ensure that the government invests in adequate level of money, personnel, and organizational resources to protect its citizens and candidates, polling stations, and election workers from intimidation or harm. The eyes of the world are focused on the election and how they are managed. The United States, as a long-standing partner of Liberia, along with the international community, has been working closely with the National Elections Commission to make sure that all election observers have full access to polling stations during election day, as well as access to the vote tallying. The U.S. Embassy through USAID is directly supporting both international and domestic election observer missions, as well as our own mission observing the election process across the country. The United States is also prepared to assist in efforts to keep these elections free, fair, and peaceful by holding accountable anyone responsible for engaging in activities to undermine the democratic election process in Liberia through additional measures such as sanctions. And on a lighter note, I would like to briefly start with the people. We got the Peace Corps are now back in Liberia. She talked about the Peace Corps. They're back in Liberia now. Prior to the COVID, we have Peace Corps volunteers all over the country. They've been working with Liberia since 1962, but they had evacuated them because of the COVID, and they have 12 now in Liberia in the area of education and health. That's a good news. But this message from the U.S. government through the Charge Affairs Christian Rodriguez is strong. She said that they have observers through what will be monitoring elections, and they will support observers missions that will, including local observers who will be monitoring elections on election day, on the day of voting, and during the tallying. When you counting the votes, the ballots will be counted. They will be monitoring that process too, and they warn that anyone who will disrupt this process will be held accountable. Anyone who will undermine this process they will take action, including sanctions. So we pray that everyone go to the polls, have your observers, your election of monitors, observers are there. And one thing I like to say, most of the time you don't have international observers that will cover everybody, the entire polling booths. No, because you're talking about 5,000 and plus. Nobody was saying 5,000 human beings account like broad account observe, and it costs money to do that. So, but they will move around and be listening to people talking to what it would say to them. But it is responsibility of every political party to have at least every polling station covered by your observers. That I saw something they did last week. They said, "Oh, where one party is not represented, give me a break. You better don't do that. You better make sure you have people to all the polling stations to cover it. You want to be represented at all the stations so that on election night you can say, well, we play our part, and this is what we got from our observers." So we look forward. The U.S. government, the international community, the European Union, ECOWAS, the African Union, they are all involved in this election. And Liberia election is very important to the continent. Nigeria, they held theirs, and there was issues that came about, but Tinubu was president-elect. He's president now. You had in Sierra Leone, neighboring Sierra Leone, Mada Bio is still going through his own elections after election struggle. The U.S. government have threatened sanctions on Sierra Leone. They're investigating to find out what happened. And Liberia, is our election since the war. I think the election will be held on our own jurisdiction, our own security. Because 97 we had ECOMOG in Liberia. 2005 we had UNMIL. 2011 we had UNMIL. 17 we had UNMIL. It's the first time we're about to have elections that will be handled by our own security personnel. That's why the U.S. government supported the process, and we look forward to ensuring that election is peaceful. Make sure that the parties they have legal mechanisms to channel your grievances if you feel cheated, if you feel that the process wasn't fair. I hope that the party would use that mechanism and exhaust it until they reach the Supreme Court. But to decide to disrupt the peace and stability of Liberia, I don't think it will be tolerated by the international community. They have invested a whole lot of money into this process. So, Jackie, welcome. And what are your thoughts about the U.S. Government statement through the Charge Affairs that came out today? What are your thoughts about it? Can hear you.
Like the first, I know you already greeted the people watching. Just to say hello to everyone in Liberia and abroad. I didn't listen to the statement today. I did see that she did get that there was a statement, and I just caught the last part of what you said, so I can't speak too much to what was said today by her. But of course, our elections is coming up and it's very, very important. America, no doubt, will be playing a part in observing us because of this democratic summit that is being held and holding everybody up to the table to uphold their democracy in their countries. So America is serious about that. We are a country where we practice democracy, so we too, as a country, must be serious about it, so that in the end, we continue to maintain our peace in the country. Because right now, Liberia has been peaceful for what, over in the 2017 elections, we had the first smooth transition of power in 75 years. So if this one is smooth, if there is a transition, that will even add to Liberia since post-war Liberia, so which will be good for the country. And we do have a legacy that we need to keep. I hope this government will also uphold that from 2017 to now.
Tell Peabody, what are your thoughts about this? I'm sure you read the statement, or I think I posted it earlier.
I believe they are just on the right track. America believes in democracy. They believe in free and fair election where everybody will have the right to exercise their franchise, and their vote their vote must count. So I think the statement is in the right direction, and is left for all parties. I mean, they are calling on all parties to abide by this, about the Farmington Accord and other things, other meetings that they have held. I think, but I don't doubt there will be any. I believe our election will be free and fair. I don't doubt it. I believe we have had we have been stable for a long time. I don't think this is going to cause any problem. I believe our election will be free and fair because we've seen the last two elections where it went on the side of the opposition, and that showed the transparency that was involved. And I just hope it continues. I just hope all parties, but as you said earlier to me, let everybody make sure you send your pool washer there, and all, because you don't want to. You don't send your pool washer, but then you're claiming foul. I don't think so. But I believe this election will be free and fair, and I think Liberia will once again make history. For almost 3 years. I mean, three elections in a row. We saw how free and fair it was, and how we were received. So I think we are making history, and I have no doubt that this election will be free and fair.
Let me just add to that. Free and fair doesn't necessarily mean there won't be disputes or disagreement. It's how we handle it as a country, which is what's going to matter. And the court system, our Supreme Court system, after NEC does what NEC's supposed to do, everything will lie on our Supreme Court system. And that's why all those justices must put on their blindfold and do what is right under our constitution, because there will be some disputes, whether it's at a representative level, whether it's at a senatorial level, because there could be some votes that are too close, very, very close. Even if NEC declared the person a winner or that person a winner, the opposition that come in second may say, no, I don't agree, therefore there should be a recount, or there was some cheating, or the invalid votes that were not supposed to be invalid votes. Let's look at all the ballots and count all of them, see what was really invalid. There's so many things that go on behind the scene, even in the country America. These things happen, and votes, ballots are recounted all the time behind the scene. They are checked, double checked, triple checked. So those things may happen, and they are likely to happen in some cases, whether it's at a representative level, at the senatorial level, or even at a presidential level. It may likely happen. The bottom line is we expect NEC to do what NEC supposed to do. We expect and to put credible people, those NEC officials in all the 15 counties, all the 5,900 polling places. We expect NEC to hire the most credible workers, people with integrity, and have a blind eye to the system and respect the Constitution. Next, yes, all the political parties need to do their part, but if it should go to the Supreme Court, we expect our Supreme Court to put on of their blindfold and follow the Constitution to the T and be balanced and unbiased.
So let me
Well,
ask you.
I think, Jackie, so far we may not have had the perfect system, but I think so far we have had good report on the last election. Let's look at the midterm that brought in DeLong, Yumli Kanga, and others. We saw how the opposition came in and won. It was free and fair. I know there was some problem here and there, but I mean they were just minor issues. So we are all hoping that same level of transparency exists today. I mean, in this coming election in October, and I think part of it will be the message we send out there as well. I mean, some of the opposition sent out there, because we cannot start claiming that we already won when we have not won, when NEC have not satisfied. So I think we need to follow NEC guideline on what the guideline on the election, on announcing the result, on claiming victory, and all of that. I think it is very important for all the political parties, because you don't want one party started claiming already that this is not good, that they didn't do it this way, they didn't. But you had the time, NEC, you went to a meeting with NEC, and everything was put out there. So I think what we need to do now, what all Liberian, all the opposition needs to do now, is to encourage their bases so that election can be free and fair, not getting out there in the street before NEC declares anyone a winner, not sending your people out there in the street to start celebrating when the result has not been announced. I think that would be a disservice to NEC. So I think it's for everyone, all the parties, to carry that message of the National Election Commission, to ensure that they abide by all the rules so that election will be free and fair. But we have had 3 elections in Liberia, and we have seen it. We saw the Unity Party went in there and won 2 elections. We saw the CDC won another election, and all those elections were considered to be free and fair. So all we can do as Liberian is to hope that the best for the coming election, the best for the country. So I think the Supreme Court, we all should have that trust in the Supreme Court. We were here when those folks were nominated to those positions, and those who had opposition to that, we didn't see a lot of opposition to most of those people, the associate justices, the Supreme Court justice. We didn't see a lot coming from any other opposition to say that these people are not capable or they shouldn't be heading or should be doing this. So I think what we need to do is to continue to carry that message of peace so that Liberia will have a free and fair election. And that will be the responsibility of every political party to really talk to the citizen to ensure that we have peace for the election.
But let me ask you, Jackie, both of you, do you have confidence in the the the, the integrity of the President Elections Commission as it is with its composition, and also the Supreme Court? Do you have confidence that the David Edward Brown Lasana Election Commission will conduct a free, fair, and transparent elections? And if there's a reason for dispute, do you have confidence in who's the Chief Justice now? Oni?
CNAU.
Yeah, in the Chief Justice yours led Supreme Court bench? Do you have confidence that you can rely that it will have a transparent and also fair process?
Well, what I do know about NEC, you have a lot of good people in NEC. You have credible people in NEC. But also at the same time, I hope NEC will not be put under pressure by any means to do something differently that it shouldn't be doing. That's all I want to say. And I know there are people there who will and are willing to do the right thing because that's the oath they took and that's their job. They are an independent, NEC is an independent entity, and they should be left to NEC to continue to operate independently. At the same time, it's left to the political parties to make sure they monitor NEC, including the civil society groups, and make sure that they hold NEC accountable, including the legislature, that they hold NEC accountable so that NEC continue to do what it says. Now, Daviera Brown was asked last week by the Supreme Court, what do you think you're doing and how well are you performing right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, she says she's doing 10 out of 10. But what does 10 out of 10 mean? A lot of people do SWOT analysis every single day, corporations, public and private. And I wonder why she gave herself a 10 out of 10, because of course there's room for improvement. She says she doesn't have all the funding available for the second round, and she's urging the government, the Ministry of Finance, so that they make all the funding available for her. There are challenges and there will always be challenges. So why she gave herself 10 out of 10, that kind of concerned me a little bit, but I would want to hope that NEC as a whole will do the right thing. And the Supreme Court as well, I want to hope that they will also do the right thing. We all hope for that. But at the same time, we the people, as in the preamble of our Constitution, it is our duty to also hold all these entities responsible and accountable, including ourselves, to keep the peace and do what is right according to our law.
But Jackie, the question was asked, do you have confidence in NEC? That's a no or yes question. But apparently you didn't say that. You went on. I mean, it's just a simple no or yes. Do you have confidence in NEC?
I have confidence in the fact that the system, for the most part, will do what it needs to do. Whatever challenges that may hinder that, that's why 100% I may not be able to answer it, because one, I have not been in all those meetings with NEC. I have not listened to all the civil society reports. There's always challenges. And as NEC overcome these challenges leading up to October 10th, then at that point I can say, oh yeah, I have 100% confidence. But as long as there's room for improvement, which NEC has its challenges right now, I hope they will be able to overcome the challenges going into October 10th, which also starts with the fact that they need to get all the appropriations and the funding available sitting in their account so that they can do what they need to do. I mean, you saw one of the challenges at the beginning of this year. We had to split the voter registration into two because there was no money. And that has an impact on the public, on the society, and how we did carry out our voter registration this year. These are some of the things that I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, program note. We have a a group of panelists coming tonight just to talk about election, the elections. We'll talk about the U.S. government statement. We're talking about the CDC Blue Day tomorrow. We're talking about the election security and everything. We have here the Deputy Campaign Spokesperson for the Opposition Unity Party, Roland Lafayette Giddings. He'll be joining us tonight for the first time. Welcome to the closing argument, Mr. Giddings. We also have
Thank you.
Former Liberian councilman, former councilman in the state of Minnesota, Winfred Russell. He'll be joining us tonight to welcome Mr. Russell.
Thank you.
And guys, we're talking about our country. We all know I want the best for Liberia. We have 34 days to go. And you saw the statement issued by the U.S. government that the elections, that they are monitoring the elections. They're calling for free, fair, and transparent elections. And they will hold people accountable for those who will undermine and disrupt the process. First of all, you can give your opening and then what are your thoughts about that, and also chime into it whether you have confidence in the Elections Commission and the Supreme Court that will have a peaceful and fair process.
So who go first?
Yeah, well, Mr. Giddings, you go.
Okay, so let me say thank you for having me on tonight. It's an opportunity that I'm looking forward to, and I hope I'll be in here, with bring some serious contribution to the show. Again, since 2005, we decided as a country to get involved in democracy, and I think we've had 3 different successive, elections: 2005, 2011, 2017. And of course, it's expected that we do the same in 2023. Now, the peace we enjoy today, of course, there have been a lot of sacrifices made by, our international partners, including our regional friends, ECOWAS, the AU, and all of that. And again, because Liberia is, an example of democracy and civilization to an extent in Africa, being, the first country to be independent, it makes sense that we will be an example of what it is to provide, the kind of leadership that's required and that will be respected by the people and brought in by the people. So the American government statement is a clear indication of their support to Liberia. Don't forget, we have had a traditional relationship, and that relationship has to survive. It has to continue. America has serious interest in our elections. They've supported it. Most of what happened in terms of technical support and other support, logistics also, I'm sure, they've been a key partner to that. One of their portfolio is also for governance, and governance looks at, elections. So I'm not surprised that they are interested and that they are looking forward to a free and fair election. We also look forward to that. The Unity Party petitioned the National Election Commission. We should be going through that case. There's something about over registration at different centers. Of course, there's a provision in the law that will allow, to an extent, that to happen if the Election Commission so deem it necessary. But it has to be public. They have to say that we've registered more than 3,000 persons in the precinct, because by the law it should be that, and 500 persons at a center. But there's several centers around the country where they register more people. So we flag that. And I think it's in the interest of the elections, in the interest of the transparency and accountable aspect of the election. So I hope they can look into that. And the SS registration at the different center, they will have to set up. At the different precinct, they have to set up new center to account for that. So we assure that there's, accountability in the entire process, in our electoral process. We're happy that we've had 20 years of peace, relative and real peace. We're looking to sustain that as a country. This is just another election. And like you said, it's about our country. We are hoping that, it can be peaceful and that the government will play its role. Under the Election Commission, talk about, constraints. We do not expect that. We expect that the government will engage its partners to be involved with our electoral process. Again, most of our electoral process have been supported by international, organization to an extent. They supported that in logistics, providing technical support. and also even funding for direct operational costs. So we're hoping that if the government is having constraint, I hope that they have engaged our international partners who can provide support so that the election is financed and we can have constraint. There's issue about possible second round. It's possible that could be. We hope that there's funding to be able to cover that. So all in all, it's about making sure our democracy continue to prevail and that the election is free, fair, and transparent. So once more, guys, thanks for having me tonight. It's good to be here, and I hope my being here, will bring some different flavor to the platform. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Thank you. Good, Mr. Happy to see you. Welcome to again, Mr. Giddings. But before I go to Mr. Russell, let me just ask you. You from the Unity Party? Okay, it's good. But will you ask the question? You guys have confidence in the president and his neck and the Supreme Court? Because I'm asking the question and will you guys accept the result of the elections? I'm asking this question because I asked the question to Eugene Anglo yesterday, and I'm asking the question to you since you're official of the Unity Party. Because is there that you guys have been complaining already before the game even started? You've been complaining that about different things. But yesterday, and lastly, I saw the former vice president in his convoy, and he was heavily guarded by state security, and I know it was provided by the state. The government provided the security, which is good for all the candidates I heard. But give your thoughts about whether you have your party have confidence in the NEC, and in case of any election dispute, mechanism that will be used to resolve the dispute, the courts. You have confidence that everything will be. You sure that the next 34 days things will be fine after that.
Well, so let me say this. Having confidence in the National Election Commission starts from the way the Election Commission conduct itself. I think there was issues that we raised during the voter registration about the variance in the registration numbers and what was put out after the registration process. We hope that is taken care of. Like we also petitioned the National Election Commission recently, like I said, on the issue of SS registration at different precincts. By the law, it should be 3,000, and the Election Commission could account for if it's more than 3,000, but they have to, make sure that notification is given to all the political parties and give a justification for that. We unearthed that as a party, and we petitioned the National Election Commission. So we are looking to go to that hearing and make sure they're able to address that in a way that we feel comfortable as a party. Now, once that happens, and we go through the process and we assure that all of what's required to ensure that there's a transparent and accountable election, we are ready to do that. We have no issue about, because I don't care where it is, Liberians have to be at the National Election Commission. They have to be Liberians who will conduct the election. There are several elections that have been conducted. That as the opposition, we won elections. We did our part, we play our role to make sure our votes are protected. And this is something that we consider seriously we will do. So if there's nothing that, we're sure the Election Commission is being impartial and it's not, being transparent. We don't want to openly say we do not have confidence in the National Election Commission. I think it is our election commission. We should say that, but we should caution the National Election Commission to make sure all that is required to ensure that the right things are done as we go along. Because fraud in the election is not just on election day, it builds up. And as we highlight some of the issues that we will have with the process, we hope that the Election Commission can respond accordingly. And if she does that, we know that we have a responsibility as an opposition political party. We know that there's odds against us as the opposition. We know that for sure. So our responsibility will be to make sure our votes are protected. And once our votes are protected properly and something else is announced, like you may be suggesting, we will make sure we have the evidence required. And if the court is ready to hear our case as we expect, based on the evidence we have, of course, the judiciary is a part of our governance system. So there shouldn't be no reason why we will not accept to go to the courts. But if it's that the court is not ready to listen to us and that we have the evidence required under the law and can present that, of course, then it becomes a difficult thing. I can say what will happen, but we respect the courts, we respect the National Election Commission, and we're hoping that they're going to conduct free, fair, and transparent elections. Of course, the ambassador, the former vice president, is an ex-government official, and I know the police provided security for all of the political leaders. I think the police need to do more because in 2017, I don't want to say this, but I think we had a police director that knew exactly what he was doing. Some of the incidents you're seeing building up, the violence during elections, was limited in 2017 because of the way he conducted his policing. And I think he was a very good police director. We've seen some, it's building up incidents that may lead to some problem. Like the other day, you remember when the former vice president was heading to our campaign headquarters. There was, I mean, when Major Kami start making noise, they were stopping when they stopped.
The public, so you can't come out giving misleading information, giving information that factually untrue.
Look, we're not ready for that thing there.
No,
we're not ready for that thing.
You misleading the public.
We're not ready for that thing. So we're hoping that, Timothy, can you control that?
Go ahead, but don't mislead the public.
Control the guy. Control the guy. So when I'm done speaking, he can talk about what is misleading. Now I'm talking about the election commission. I'm talking about the judicial system. I'm talking about what we expect of them. And you say I'm misleading, so I didn't understand that. But however, I'm just saying we hope that the kind of security required can be provided so that there can be less violence in election. We are committed to a non-violent posture. We hope that the government who provides security for us and for themselves in the whole process can do that in the kind of impartial way. That's what we hope for.
Okay,
guys, so I don't know what's been leading and
guys, please, because of time, let me just limit our time to at least 2 minutes each person, just for the time. Just so all can take part, make it a good discussion. Mr. Russell, let me hear from you. Just in 2 minutes again, just chime in.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. It's great to be on your platform and to interact with you all. This, as we all have been saying, and we continue to say, written about this too as well, that this is going to be a very serious and important election for the Republic of Liberia. It is critically important that we get it all right, that we do all the right things, because we are spending taxpayers' money to ensure that the vote is not only peaceful, but that it is transparent and is accessible to all parties and all stakeholders. We're talking about women, we're talking about old people, we're talking about handicapped people, the blind, and others. We have to ensure that everyone adequately participate in these elections. So it is it's critically important that the government does all it can and deploy as much resources as as it possibly can to ensure that these elections are transparent. So I have my concerns, but for the most part, I'm looking forward to the government stepping up to the plate to do what is right by the Liberian people to ensure that there's free, transparent, and fair elections. And I can, lay out some of the concerns that I have voiced in the past, I've written about in the past, and for now, I just want to encourage everyone to participate and everyone to show up. I think we are likely to see a really huge voter turnout here, but it is incumbent upon this government to ensure that the election goes smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Sylvester Peewee, let me bring you in. Tomorrow is the ruling CDC they call it Blue Day rally, and you can use the 2 minutes to talk about the Blue Day rally tomorrow, and also to respond to Brother Giddings. Well, as you said, he was misleading, so you can use the 2 minutes to do it. But to go ahead, talk about the rally tomorrow. What's the expectation?
Yes.
What should the Liberian expect? And as I'm hearing from the CDC camp, tomorrow it will surpass what they have done in the past.
Oh yes, clearly. The reason why tomorrow we're going to have a lot of oxygen, and the oxygen is currently saturating across and reverberating across Monrovia and Israel environment. The reason is simple. The reason is a clear manifestation of what the president have done over the period of 5.5 years. That's part of the reason why the euphoria is very huge. It's an extraordinary event unfolding now. The preparatory processes leading to tomorrow are going to be extraordinary. And the reasons are very simple. The president, on way he conducted the delicate balance of power the president exhibited as head of state of the Republic of Liberia is the reason behind people coming up in their numbers. Now, we're going to see what I refer to as a colossal turn up tomorrow in Monrovia and its environment because the president committed a lot of reasons, part of his deliverables, what he done for the country, to transform the country in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of improving our health sector. Doctors that were down the line before, around 700 now, they can go home with $2,000. The educational sector, the University of Liberia, when we are at the University of Liberia, then we pay, I remember I paid $300 Liberian per credit hours. I have to do registration. I have to do registration process for almost a week to two. Now, the president digitized that process. There's no too much those kind of a headache now. You can process a registration process at the University of Liberia within a day or less than a day, right? And the president also moved to do what we refer to as free tuition on the university campus. Today at LOFA, we joined we began accounting in Liberia in 1964. Ever since then, we never had a paved AFA road leading to our accounting. Today we have one. If you have to go across, we have a lot of modern infrastructure unfolding now in the country. Now, are we there? No, we are not there completely, but there have been significant improvement in terms of what the president have done. So it's part of the reason why tomorrow the turnout is going to be huge. It's just part of that. Now we'll go through it later on in the show where we'll give you a breakdown of achievement of the president. But quickly, let me say this to us. Mr. Guinness came out to say that the last elections, there were a lot of violence in terms of what the police director don't know what he's doing because the former police director knew what he was doing. That's totally erroneous. Guess what? There were more violent activities in the last election 2017 than now. Now, then they were aided by UNMIL. Today, we have no UNMIL in the country. We are managing this process holistically by the Liberian security sector, upholding the Comprehensive Peace Accord, Chapter 6.19. And this president maintained that process of ensuring that we restructure the national security, and so the national security will balance the process of moving us to elections. This police director and his team, they are more engaged into what I refer to as community policing that have significantly reduced violent activities across the country during these elections. I understand there are isolated cases, but those cases cannot be compared to what unfolded past elections. So past elections, there were a lot of things that happened. Despite the huge support coming from UNMIL, we had a lot of violent issues. Today, there's no UNMIL in the Republic of Liberia, no UNMIL whatsoever. Our security processes and the entire issue of the security is being controlled by the government of the Republic of Liberia via the supervision of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Liberia, President George Weah. So imagine we need to give credit to the security forces, right? The military, the paramilitary forces, all of them combined are doing a wonderful job to ensure that we have free, fair, and transparent elections. Here's why. What the president did with the president's current democratic credentials, he can never jeopardize the peace, but he's a constitutionalist. He exhibited this. He portrayed this time to time, right? He said, this is my record, democratically. This is my record. I am a constitutionalist. I will protect the Constitution of Liberia. This is the reason why the president has said to us time to time, he will ensure that they're going to be free, fair, transparent, and credible election, that he will allow the ambience across the 43,000 square miles of the Republic of Liberia for every political institution to have a time to go across the country, crisscross the country to canvass. And that's part of the reason himself is engaged. The only reason why he's engaged is that he's engaged to tell the folks of the Republic that I'm contesting in these elections. I spared my conduct, what I have done, the record I set in this country, what I have done for the people. That's the reason why many Liberians refer to him now today as the developmental King Kong and the rest of that. So Mr. Guinea should not come here with factually and half-baked information that is totally untrue to come and misinform the public on these things. No, some of us will come back to correct him. These are it's not true. We have a lot of issues unfolding in the country, very peaceful. Everyone is moving around, and that's why the democratic contestation is about. Now we talk about multi-partyism. The president today, we have 20 contestants in the presidency, more than 900 in the House of Representatives, and 700 in the rest of that. So yes, we are democratic. We will ensure that the peaceful election. Our security sector is doing wonderfully well as compared to 2017, where you have more chaos and the situation was now well managed and the rest of that. Today, there's well regimentation. The security process is well regimented under the stewardship of this police director and the commander, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Republic of Liberia.
So, guys, let be mindful of the time, please. So everyone can take part. Do welcome. I mean, it's a balanced show. We got the CDC is here tonight. The former ruling UP is here, and then the CPP. So we have other independent people here. So we'll be fine. That'll be about it. Weigh in, man. Get involved in the conversation. Then we'll go to Jackie and Duke, and then Roland and back again.
Well, let me say this too. I think when it comes to free and fair election, our system may not be most perfect, but I think there's some extent that we can give credit to this administration. I mean, I don't support the CDC government. I'm not a member of CDC. I'm not part of any political party. But we saw DeLong coming to be senator of Montserrat County. We saw Yumby coming to be from Grand Bassa County. We saw other opposition. We saw Bob Charles and Pat Botokane and others that won election from the opposition. So I think when it comes to a peaceful election, this should be the responsibility of all the political parties, with the government having their part to play, election commission having their part to play. But this is something that should come from all the political parties. This is the message that they send out there when they get out there with the campaign. The thing they say, the thing they tell their partisans, is very important. I think the issue of peace must always be emphasized on the campaign trail. Every one of them should talk about peace, because what we're seeing here is, I don't think anybody is attacking anybody. I mean, there was something in Nimba the other time where some folks got killed. I think this kind of behavior needs to be discouraged, and every one of them needs to put that message of peace out there. They shouldn't just sit there, oh yeah, the government is planning to do this. Oh, we don't, I think at this point, at the point we are now, I think every political party that had some kind of concern, that had some kind of issue with NEC should have resolved it. We are just 34 more days to the election. So I think we should not start putting out there, oh, NEC not being too fair, or NEC will not do this. I think for now, you have had 3 elections. The very United Party was in power for 12 years. They won 2 terms. Came CDC, midterm. So I think the issue of peace must be something that every political party must talk about on the campaign trail.
Jackie, tomorrow is CDC Blue Rally Day, officially launching the campaign with 34 days to go. Tomorrow will be 33 days to go. And reports on the CDC, they're gonna surpass what they have done in the past. They say they're gonna surpass what they have done in the past. They're gonna send a clear message to all the parties that are trying to unseat them, that do not take us for granted. We are still the ruling CDC, the mighty coalition for democratic change, and we are going to showcase tomorrow that we are ready to re-elect President Weah and ensure that we have another 6 years. You from the UP? I heard you guys are a little jittery. You guys are panicking for the CDC launch tomorrow.
Ooh, panicking? Really? Wow, we are so comfortable in our skin. Look, here's the thing, and I know my brother Sylvester doesn't want me to say this. Here's the truth. The coalition of Democratic change in 2017 is not the same coalition today. NPP is not the same as it was back then. The party, the other parties that formed the coalition is split. So you have less going in this year than you had in 2017. That's the first thing. Secondly, the level of confidence that the Liberian people had in this coalition for democratic change in 2017 has dropped drastically as compared to today. So they can have, and they should to have their program tomorrow. I wish CDC all the best. But the Liberian people in all the counties, they are resolved, and they're looking forward to a JMB victory, and that's just the bottom line, So CDC can go ahead and say what they want to say. What they need to say is up to them. They have a right to say it, and I wish them the best tomorrow as they carry out their activities tomorrow. But the Liberian people are resolved to vote in JMB come October 10th.
Mr. Giddings, yes, you are the deputy campaign spokesman for the UP, and in the last couple of weeks, you guys have been having some. Reports having issues with like people like PYJ or leak audio. Different stuff been happening. The VP traveled the country, came back, and a lot of controversy, a lot of issues surrounding this. Different stuff. You guys are being mostly on the defense to push back. As people making assumptions and so forth, but as the CDC launched it tomorrow, with all that in mind, but also to give you guys credit, you guys have been making some show on the campaign trail. Been watching, been drawing some numbers, so forth. But tomorrow, CDC said they're gonna silence all of that, put all that to rest, and say, look, we are the ruling CDC, and that's why we are going to come before tomorrow and send a message. What's happening in UP? What's UP is saying? You muted.
You muted. You're unmuted. You muted.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So I'm saying, Sylvester can talk about what they're doing tomorrow. He can give all the details on what they're going to do tomorrow. But what I do know is that the coalition of democratic change today is not what you had in 2017. Is diluted. Okay, you do not have the LPDP is readily not there. You do not have the full NPP there. You also, of course, you had the MDR supported and it's not there. So yes, let them do what they're going to do tomorrow. But let me just say this. I know Sylvester came with this, when you heard that Giddings would be on the show, he came to fight. Because I don't know what you're accusing me for. No, I don't know what you're accusing me for. I was very simple to say, we don't expect violence. We, the Unity Party, will not support violence. But he came and attacked me and said I was providing false information. I don't know what is false. Don't forget. No, wait, smart. No, wait.
You said this police director does not know what he's doing. And
No. I said, listen to me. I said, I don't think the police director, because you know why? There were incidents of violence.
You that there's less violence in this process than
1 minute, Chief.
Oh,
you can interrupt me like that? Is this okay? Is it okay?
I'm trying to give information to you.
Okay. But don't forget, there was violence in 2013, in District 13, when the by-election was held. When Cornelia Crabb participated in the election, you know what happened. Major Koji went there with his talks, and you know what happened. People were injured in District 13. There was an investigation that should have been done by the National Police. Today, we have no report on that. There was also an incident in District 15, when TBIUA participated, supported by the CPP. And to date, there's no report on what happened. Nobody got held responsible for that. So there have been several violence along the way in by-elections. And we're saying to you, we hope that the police director can do better than that. And so there's incidents of violence. So you can tell me I'm lying. But however, on the issue of the CDC stuff tomorrow, they can go ahead and do that. I know what they're doing. They're going to bust a lot of people tomorrow. I know the civil servants that have been asked to be there, and people will be watched if you're not there. I know civil servants who call me. I work in government for many years. I was at the Ministry of Public Works. I know the situation where civil servants have been asked to go. They've been forced to go there tomorrow. So yes, people will show up. CDC wants to show that they're still the CDC in 2017 when they are not. If you do not have the MDR with you, if you do not have the LPDP with you, because if the political leader is not there, you understand that there's a problem. You have the chairman who is not the political leader. You do not have also the NPP, full NPP. James Barney is a very important person in the NPP. You know that. He is the current chairman of the NPP. NPP is divided. They are not there. So yes, they're going to show off tomorrow. It will be to show that they stay strong as they were in 2017. They are not that. I know they're running on a record that's terrible. And we'll talk about some of the issues that, they've got themselves involved with. The issue of corruption, the issue of, extrajudicial killing that have been reported. But even the Americans in the report on what has happened in Liberia over time. So there are a lot of other things we'll talk about. So let's CDC have the fun tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day. I don't want to beat on them too much. Sylvester should say what they will do tomorrow. And let's see what it looks like. But I know they're struggling. I know CDC is struggling.
Okay, before I go, maybe go to Russell. Before I go to Russell, actually, so tomorrow, you guys would not have no campaign activity tomorrow, right?
Oh no, we don't have anything doing tomorrow. I mean, they can be launching. We have to respect the process. They're going to be launching tomorrow. They're going to be launching their party tomorrow. I don't know whether they're going to be launching a platform tomorrow. I know they have not said what they would do. Even the PDP has been challenged. There's so many things in the PDP that they said they would do that they have not done. They were supposed to, take up, quote unquote, 1 million people out of poverty. There's no record that's shown that they've done that. They were supposed to create a lot of jobs. There's no investment they've attracted. So I don't know what they'll be saying tomorrow, but the Unity Party tomorrow is not going to be anywhere around where they will be. We're going to give them tomorrow because we're going to be coming out on that Sunday, on the 17th. We don't want them in the street also. So we're going to respect that. CDC will be out tomorrow. And of course, they should go ahead and do what they should do.
Okay. I know people will respond, but let me bring Mr. Russell in. Russell, yes. Use your 2 minutes. I know you come on this. You are not a feeder on the parties. You've been critical of all sides. But what do you make up tomorrow, and also what we've been discussing so far?
Well, like I've said, I've written most recently in the Front Page Africa and the Daily Observer, and I've posted some of my comments to that. I think we have this twisted belief that the more crowd you bring out, the better your chances of winning. I'm here to tell you that is not necessarily the case. So in politics, whether in politics here in America or politics back in Africa, size doesn't necessarily matter. I think what is going to be critically important in this election is an effective ground game to come out there or to go out there and door knock and interact with each and every voter, go out into all of the hamlets and villages of the country and engage the folks and talk to them. I think that's what's going to make the difference. So piling the streets up with and clogging the streets up, inconveniencing residents of the city, and putting large crowds in stadiums. I mean, you should ask Hillary Clinton, about this. I'm sure she would tell you a thing or two. So in politics, size doesn't matter. So the campaign that has an effective ground game that goes out there engaging those silent voters are the ones who are going to make the difference. The ones who they were not out there, boisterous and jubilating and all of that. They were in the corner and folks are there engaging them and talking to them. I think that's what is going to make a difference. So it'll be great to see another big, fancy, flashy rally, but that doesn't say much to me. That's not going to say, a lot to the Liberian people. I think a lot of people have seen this. A lot of people have seen all of these candidates are capable of bringing people out on the streets and displaying large crowds and all of that. But that is not what is going to make a difference in this election. That is not what is necessarily going to get candidate elected. You have to engage the folks. You have to engage them social media. You have to engage them personally. So all of that interpersonal connection, I think that's what's going to be critically important, Tomalin.
Sylvester, 2 minutes, please. That's being mark the 2 minute line, please. Sylvester, yes, you can come in before we go to Duke. You muted, Sylvester.
Thank you. The issue about the district number 13 situation here, and we need to be very clear. 2018. Now, normally that's the tactic of the United Party. They deploy agent provocateurs to move and commit something and want to shift the blame on Mayor Koji. Mayor Koji did not at any time. He's a very peaceful man. Young man. He wouldn't endeavor into undermining the peace of the very country that he fought to protect. The peace of the very democracy that he fought to protect. Why would Mayor Koji go and undermine to get engaged in electoral violence? No, that particular scenario was orchestrated. It was a sinister plan by the very United Party, orchestrated by them to shift the blame on Mayor Koji. That been their tactics here. The issue about scare mongering, this scare tactics, and we need Bosch to those kind of a thing. And let me quickly move to say to us that the D30 thing. Now the issue about you said the coalition is not strong. No, it's not true. Those people that left the coalition are opportunistic elements, not the institutions. The institution still remains, right? For instance, the LPDP still remains. That's the structure. That's the political architecture. It's still with the coalition. They are still part of the coalition. Only the leader left, and the leader is not the institution. No, and that's part of the reason Mr. Guinness and the rest of the folks believe in individualism instead of institutionalism. Now, the basic line of public process in political engagement is building what we refer to as institution. And the CDC is a clear example of institution building, right? So the LPDP is their friend, only one individual left, right? For his own self-engagement. So you understand that it was based on opportunistic reason he left. For the NPP side, they now expelled chairman. Chairman left. He's expelled. He's not even invited, but expelled chairman left the party. We still have the party, the NPP. That's the party of my late father. They all struggle behind the party. I've been a kind of a caring young man coming up, love the party and the rest of that. So the NPP is still firm, strong, and part of the coalition. The LPDP is still part of it. So those two individuals left, does that equip to the coalition then having some issue? The coalition structurally, in terms of the foundation of the coalition, is firm than ever before. So they are moving to this process, not only those two political institutions, but you have additional 7 political parties joining the coalition, making it more firm than ever before, moving to the process. And that is simple. The reason why those other political parties are gravitating towards the president and the coalition is because the president has performed extraordinarily. The president got in place a partisan. Listen, when the president inherited the problem of Liberian, inflation was around 27%. He brought in a very extraordinary, excellent finance minister that brought that down to single digit, right? So we need to ensure and speak of the reality. It's not that we don't have issue, there will be problem. And as the minister, the former minister said yesterday, the campaign manager, there are other exogenous factors. Yes, those factors, sometimes working on those factors will pull, but what we've done, we maximize our strength and minimize our weakness. And that's what the government has done. So the government went a lot of things. There was an issue we talked about lifting 1 million. There was an intent to do that, right? But that intent was a little hampered by this issue about coronavirus. And we wouldn't intervene. These are things we refer to as force majeure. These are uncertainty that sometimes you rot. But the government ability to control those things and ensure that you stabilize the country as the country is now stabilized and the country is moving forward. A lot of Liberians have been lifted from poverty. You know that, Mr. Guinness. You understand it clearly. When you work at the Public Works Ministry now than yesterday, and you compare the level of the ministry, there have been more young people that have been advanced in terms of their career pattern, in terms of the level of improvement. You bear witness to this, Mr. Guinea. You understand your very community you live in, you see that there have been transformation within the community dwellers you live around. Compared to when you served as deputy minister of the Ministry of Public Works. So a lot of things, Tomalin and the rest of the folks, we need to understand clearly that the president deployed what we refer to as not only the kind of a 7 leadership tactics, but he deployed those transformational tactics as a leader to ensure that his leadership impact will reflect on the ordinary people. That's part of the reason why today he will sit and say, when he inherited the country, we only had 3 liberal importers, for instance, in the oil and gas business. Today, we have 27 importers of Liberians. Also, out of the 27, we have Liberian almost more than 20 of them, those imported are Liberians. Yes, it is part of the process of the president ensuring that the country is moving forward. It is part of the tactics to ensure that you're moving the folks from poverty, and that has been manifested by tomorrow 10 hours. You're going to see it tomorrow. And the reason why, and let me quickly to conclude here, the credentials are set of the president and his administration is clear. The president never loved violence. That's part of the reason why he's signed off as peace ambassador time to time. So yes, the CDC will engage the political processes very well and will live by the rule of engagement. The rule of engagement is to adhere to and respect the process. That's why the president, wherever he goes, he preaches peace. And it's part of the peace and tranquility that we're going to save this country, not those sinister and negative and counterproductive thinking that Mr. Guinean and the rest of the Unity Party folks will bring to bear. No, we refute that and we're going to reject it. They try to confuse the system. We're not going to do that. Our mission is to liberate and emancipate the Liberian from economic depredation. And that's the mission of this administration.
So first talk here, Pee from the ruling coalition democratic team, making the case for the CDC and President Weah. Let's bring in one of the CPP, one of the most fiery guys with CPP, one of the most action guy now. He's making a case for Mr. Cummings and the CPP, Duke Estrada, JJ. Duke, man, look, the people have been talking about, the other year they're talking about CDC, UP. They're trying to act as this CPP not in the race, but what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, I mean, like, I was looking at a video. You guys drew our District 4 somewhere, and what I saw was people was shocked about it, and then your way of campaigning is causing people to wonder what's happening. But talk to us, man. Tell us what's going on with this in the CPP and here in the UP and CDC going back out of it. What's coming from the CPP camp?
Yeah, well, Tomalin, thanks. It's great to be back on the show today. Let me say this. When you have two institutions that have fueled, the parties by exploiting the Liberian people, this is what we get. We had the former ruling party who had the vault keys for the Liberian people and exploited them. And then the Liberian people decided that they were going to elect the Congress for Democratic Change to fix that issue. They too exploited the people. And so what we're witnessing are two greedy, corrupt, unproductive political institutions trying to offer suggestions and solutions when the people of Liberia know that they offer nothing, in terms of economic solutions. The fact here is, I've said repeatedly on this platform, that the way in which we were going to campaign going forward is going to be different than what many people are used to. And I think you saw, we did something in District 4 to just let you know, listening, we can have big rallies. We can go and bus people from different areas. We can bring trucks from Mark Gibby and all the other different, districts and bring them into one area and just jam pack it. But it doesn't really yield the kind of results, because in the end, it is about how you're connecting with the actual voters, what you're doing in those districts that's actually, connecting with the people and letting them understand that you really mean business in terms of your plan for Liberia. And that's what Mrs. Cummings is doing. And interestingly, what you're witnessing now over the past 2 days, you see that the former criminal entity Unity Party forcibly taking their presidential candidate into those narrow paths and trying to walk the trails like Mr. Cummings is doing. You see similar thing with the CDC trying to replicate the same thing. But, this is all politics, and we know people try to, move on the progress of other people as well. I've said this, and I will continue to make this argument. The collaborating political parties under Mr. Cummings sees that there is a lack of leadership in Liberia. And that lack of leadership did not just happen with George Weah. It happened prior to George Weah. For more than 50 years, Ambassador Boyk has been part of government. He has been given the opportunity to be able to help his people. And I tell you this, in the agriculture sector, this is one of the most important sectors when it comes to job creation in the country. For 50 years, there is nothing in terms of progress that we can show, or anything in terms of job creation, anything positive. Looking at his experience in time in government, that shows he has really done his work in that sector. He was the head of the Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation, marred by corruption, wherein he was fired by Samuel Doe. We all know about the PR 480. Corruption was involved, and his agency, the LPMC, and both agriculture ministries were highlighted in that report for corruption. Today, he wants to tell you that he's the solution for corruption. He's the solution for job creation, but we have 50 years to show. Same thing with Ambassador Weah and the Congress for Democratic Change. They have struggled to provide jobs and a struggle on the issues of integrity. So Liberians have experienced two dysfunctional political parties. What we're offering are solutions. We're saying to you that, look, there's been issues of integrity issues across the country. Mr. Cummings said to approach that, I would not take a salary as president. I'm going to make sure those monies are redirected to places like the General Auditing Commission and making sure that we're putting the Liberian people interests ahead. In terms of job creation, we have been practical about jobs. We said that we have identified sectors, and our strategy is going to be based upon a simple fact that the Liberian people can only function if we have a vibrant private sector. We've prioritized ecotourism. We say ecotourism oasis would be one of the short-term economic solutions we will use, finding those spots in Liberia, those natural environment, because we don't have the luxury of owning five-star structures to begin kickstarting our economic development process. So that's what we're focused on. We're not focused on the political parties that are busing people into districts and rally. And look, CDC can put 1 million people from different counties in the capital city tomorrow. It does not mean anything. If you're familiar with Liberian politics, this crowd politics, Thomas Fowler should have been an example for a lot of people here. Thomas Fowler from the CDC went around, gave money to people. They took crowds all over the place. George Weah was doing zombie dance. It didn't help, the CDC. Same thing for the Unity Party. Ellen Johnson Shirley's been the engine of political success for the Unity Party. Ambassador Boyka has not shown on his own as a standalone candidate that he's a vibrant and potent. He has not won anything. If you go to the record, Tommy, no individual that have actually contested on the seat of the Unity Party under Joseph Boyka have won that election. The people that they have representing them today in the last election, the by-election, guess who the one underneath? Alexander Cummings. He was head of the CPP. So we're not moved by crowd and unnecessary chatters because we know we can spend the money, resources, and bust people, but we want to have those interaction with voters. And you see what's happening now. They're replicating, but you see Mr. Cummings is actually moving. You saw Charlene Bromsky. You see them and hear them talking about the issues. You notice that they're visiting those market centers. What are some markets? They're going into the slum communities. You see Mr. Cummings walking into those muddied areas and seeing the life of the people. Those people who are economically negatively impacted due to the lack of productivity from a corrupt former vice president and a corrupt administration. Those are the core issues we're focused on. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Providing an economy that works for the Liberian people, give them a leadership that they deserve, and not listening to the noise from corrupt individuals who cannot tell you how they intend to govern the government and cannot even respect the General Accounting Auditing Commission, as in the case of the former vice president. We're here for change, and I think this is what's going to separate us and give us a win come on October 10th.
Wow, I'd like to unpack. Mr. Giddings, I know because you were he gave you throw some punches at the UP. And so it will give you 2 minutes to respond. Then we'll make a move to the other guys.
Well, so let me say this. I mean, I've been listening to Duke. I mean, I like him. If talking was just what you do, to get things done, of course, then the CPP will be exactly the party you want to talk to. We've had the experience of running government. And of course, we took over the country when there was nothing. In 2006, you had almost like a prior state. Absolutely nothing happened. You had a country, for example, if you look at infrastructure, let me just speak specifically to energy. We took over a country that had 0 megawatt, no electricity completely at all, no network, transmission, distribution, just nothing. So I understand what it is, and we understand what it is to run government. I know the government was not a perfect government. Of course, there was corruption in government, but when you talk about Joseph Boyka being involved in corruption, I don't see any evidence of that. You just run over the place where, you were involved in this, he's corrupt. The Liberian people do not see that. That is why they've gravitated to him, because he's this guy who, understand what it is to be president in Liberia. He's been here. He understands what it is to connect with the people. I mean, I understand. I'm not going to push at CPP because we are looking at CPP. At certain point in time, we understand that they're not going to just cut it, and they should support, of course, an opposition against a CDC. CDC is the problem here. It's CDC that we're going after. It is Sylvester that I'm yet to talk about. I'm not really focusing on Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings is a good guy, and I'm not going to be here to talk about him in the kind of derogatory way. I will not do that because I think he can be good. But you know what? He's not a guy who can do it right now. The Liberian people have made up their mind, especially in the opposition. Those who do not want CDC, just we are. Majority of the people think Joseph Boakai is the guy who can do it. And if you talk about what he's done, of course, there's record of things that he done. At the LPRC, what did he do? He got our cocoa to a level where you could export it, got it to a grade that it could be exported. Now, you talk about corruption here at the Ministry of Agriculture. That's not true. There's no record to show that. Joseph Boakai served 12 years as vice president and never got involved in anything of corruption. He's this guy with a very good integrity. He's this guy who believes in his country, love his country. And that's why he coined this thing, think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. And we're doing that with the agenda, arrest. We're focusing on agriculture. We're focusing on roads. We're focusing on rule of law. We're focusing on education, sanitation, and tourism. Of course, that's anchored out of 6 different pillars that we have for our platform. We're looking at macroeconomic stability and infrastructure development, which we have the capacity to do. All the infrastructure Peabody is boasting about today, who built them? Who built the roads? You're talking about a road going to Lofa. Who built that road? Who did the feasibility studies? Who designed the project? Who raised the resources for it? Who did groundbreaking? President stop that. President Weah was dragged into a groundbreaking as senator that he knew nothing about. When we break ground, the project is secure already, funding secure. We got Chico. Chico is the contractor on that project. Is it CDC that hired Chico? CDC government hired Chico. We hired Chico. Okay, the road. Don't disturb about it. Don't disturb. Timberlake, can you control this guy? Can you keep him? Can you keep him calm? Keep him calm. You don't want to do this. The people listening out there, people want to learn. Don't disrupt me. Don't disrupt me, Chief.
But equally, so there's not a monologue. This is not a monologue.
So you don't have that. No, you were talking. We are not debating on this. Don't disturb me. When you're about to speak, I don't do that. So please. The point I'm making, infrastructure, you don't have it. So if you talk about who has the ability to do this, the Unity Party government has done it. And let me say this, people talk about corruption. The Ambassador Boakai never refused and never asked why the CDC government did not do audit of the last government. We asked for that. I was Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Public Works. We asked for that. We said audit us. What stops CDC for auditing us? Let me say this. Our 6 pillars speaks about the fight against corruption. We're going to audit CDC. I said on several radio stations when I went. I'm here as chairperson for program policy and led the whole platform development for the party. We're going to audit CDC. We're not going to do what you didn't do to us. We will audit you. And we didn't stop you from doing that. Okay, so I understand you're pushing your case. Mr. Cummings is somebody who, new in our body politics. He has to get some traction. And the way to get some traction is to continue to attack Ambassador Boakai. We understand that. But we'll work with you when the time comes. And we know we'll work with you. It's CDC that we're here for. CDC is the party that have destroyed this country, damaged our image. You have passport scanner, sell our diplomatic passport to rogues and criminals. We know that there's several cases that has been put out for investigation. The case with the passport, there have been no conclusion on those investigations. Committees were set up. Where's the case? Where's Kimia report on the passport scanner? Where is it? There's several passport scanner. We know that. There's corruption cases. There were 3 cases of corruption. At the Ministry of Agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture was indicted by the chair for LSCC. What did you do? You arrived at the LSCC. The NEC chair was indicted. At LWSC, people were indicted. List people were indicted. You refuse for them to go to court. You don't support the issue of accountability and transparency. So CDC, don't talk about this because you're not the government. So it was a complete mistake having President Weah in the presidency. And let me say this, the Liberian people will definitely do that. And you know why? Joseph Boakai is that vehicle that will get that to happen.
Can I respond?
No. This was me. He responded to me. Let me look. Let's 1 second. I spoke. He replied to me. It is only appropriate that I actually killed this narrative. It is very important. So
after that, we're going to do. We'll go to Sylvester. We'll get 2 minutes.
Let me finish my 2 minutes. You get it, please. I don't want to.
Most people. Sylvester, 1 second. I'll beg you.
Let him flow. Then you.
Okay. Go ahead.
You know, when hypocrites, when criminals, when people who have orchestrated the demise of an economy come and tell you,
but who you call criminals?
That they are the ones that have the solution.
Who was indicted and went to court?
And descriptive to the Liberian people. This gentleman said that the former vice president comes with experience. The question here is, what experience are we talking about? This is a man that's been in government for 50 plus years. And today they cannot highlight the
And that's
single
not
thing
true.
he has done.
In
That-
government 50 years, wrong.
1 second, it is accurate.
Yeah.
He has been around government for 50 plus years. Majority of his time in the area of agriculture. He has embezzled the Liberian people money. He has been corrupt.
No evidence.
Nothing to show in
What is the
terms of
evidence?
money. One important fact that you're not interrupting, you're getting upset with Peewee. So you got to take it.
Yeah, you did that to me also.
You got to take the meal when I'm serving it. Because trust me, one thing I'm good at is serving meals. When you talk about talking, leadership is not about talking and doing. You tell me specifically, what is it that the former vice president has done to show that he's actually about leadership? Let's go about the success of the Unity Party. Today on this show, you want to claim Ellen's success? When the same former vice president disassociated from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and made a comment that they squandered opportunities, today he said that he was a packed vehicle. Today now he wants to claim Ellen Johnson success. This man,
what you call Ellen Johnson success?
The man
Unity Party is Unity Party.
The former vice president is one of the weakest in the history of the republic. All he has around him are greedy individuals who are looking for an opportunity to get back in government and exploit the Liberian people. The fact that we're resisting them, the fact that we continue to expose them, the fact that they have nothing to run on, the fact that they have a record that shows that they have been destructive is what kills them. And I'm telling you, after October 10th, Unity Party will cease to exist. It will become the next Chewy Party.
You gotta be joking. I mean, the leading opposition party. You gotta be joking.
So, Tomalin, may I come in there? May I come in there a little bit?
Mr. Guinness, I'll have to find. Let me respond and I will move on, please. Thank you.
No, but I mean, I have not said anything, so I think you guys should give me a chance to do my opening also. Peewee, you've spoken plenty different times and you provided a justification why you people should be elected. You talk about if you go across and you go across, the cross is absolutely total.
You see, now you know you're struggling to say what you want to say. So let me come in, please. Let me come in. So I will take this time. Let me. 2
minutes, please. One, but I'll put a tip out. 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you very closely. Yes, it. So basically, I will first and foremost take the time to talk about the road connectivity process first. Then I move on to the passport saga quickly.
You don't know nothing about that. Don't talk about it.
For 12 years, you bear around 400 kilometers of road. 12 years.
Lie. 700 plus, almost 800 kilometers of road. You lie.
President, please don't interrupt me, please. For 12 years, you bear 400 kilometers of road. This administration, President, we are just primary roads. It was around 360 kilometers of primary roads. That's excluding feeder road and secondary road.
Misinformation.
Right? So I'm saying this to you. 12 years.
But you don't know it.
400 kilometers of road. This administration, under the superintendentship of President Weah, they for just primary road, 360 excluding feeder and secondary road. Now we need to be a little bit mindful here as to how you want to engage this process. You spent 12 years. This illustrious president has just spent 5.5 years, moving up to 6 years. He's built close to what you've done in 12 years. Now, so you need to stop giving factually incorrect information to the folks, and you're trying to come here to you think you can bamboozle the population of our country, and they will submit to your mischief. No, I will go back to the passport saga. We'll be having passport saga, and but when Minister Kimian took over the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I'm speaking from a privileged position because I serve as Assistant Minister for Public Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. When Minister Kimian took over, we've been having some issue. He put into place a very unique and proactive and preventive mechanism. It's part of the reason today you're seeing the issue of people detecting some of these things. Now, the Ministry of Justice, the recent situation that unfolded, what the minister did, the minister of the first for even allowed to the Ministry of Justice to investigate because the passport authority, the issuing authority at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have time to time refuted most of those passports, challenged what is unfolding about those passport situations that's unfolding now. So the minister informed through his reform process, informed and put into place those regular process, right? Informed the Minister of Justice about the situation that's currently unfolding. And the Minister of Justice is to key to that, to put into place some investigative procedure to move this process forward. Under your administration, it was under your administration that we had about 13 passport scandals one of the major of the scandal was involving your chairman, Vice Chairman of the Danish journalists, that gave the chairman almost 200,000 to get the Danish journalist that was operating in the Central African Republic. It was your administration. You did nothing about it. But under this administration, the president and his team and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, they are very meticulous in making sure to mitigate this problem and have this problem solved and put beyond us. So the president, let me inform you that the Minister of Kimia reported on the Bakari issue and passport saga process.
Where is it? Where is that in the public? Where is it?
That report been submitted to the Minister of Attorney General of the Republic more than a year ago. The Attorney General got the report from the Office of the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Liberia. So the
public wants to see it.
The president constituted this committee headed by the Foreign Minister and the Dean of the Cabinet of the Republic. He went into place, did his own investigation. There was one I would refer to as a very timely and very professional investigation process conducted by the Dean of the Cabinet. And that report, my understanding is that it's been submitted to the Minister of Justice more than a year ago. Unlike you, Mr. Guinness, your administration, your former chairman was engaged into one of the dangerous passport saga in the history of Liberia. Vice Chairman, currently senator, a sanctioned element of the United Nations, the American government sanctioned him. He was involved into those things. But one of the things Minister Kimia did, he came up with a reform, a holistic reform mechanism. That process was intended to uproot those unscrupulous elements and counterproductive agent backstabber that are existing around the area of making sure to blackmail the issue of our national instrument. The Liberian passport, privileged passport. And this is why there are regular processes involved in issuing privileged passport now under the leadership of this administration. The minister did not put into place those measures because the minister was very tactical, because he himself had observed some of these things, because he served as an ambassador at the level of the United Nations. His belief is that we need to clean the process of giving the integrity, restoring basic integrity to our passport. So that's why the reason now we have 3 sets of privileged passports in the Republic of Liberia. We have the service passport, we have the official passport, and we have the diplomatic passports. Today, the minister has already instructed, now we have a reform of the entire system of the passport.
Sylvester.
Come on, man. The man can be lecturing people with no lies, man.
Very important. So the issue about the privileged passport now, we even revisited the regulations that issuing.
We got diplomatic passport all over the place. You talk about, right?
Those diplomatic passport. The minister informed the Minister of Justice that it did not come. The last one I was issued, those one I put in running around with, it was not issued by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The minister did not acquiesce them, and that's part of the reason why he alarmed. Now, somehow you cannot stop the criminal from striking. But what you can do, and that's what the minister.
So who's responsible?
Was to put into place, and that's why the minister elected. No, you. That's why the minister elected the Minister of Justice, and now there's an investigation ongoing on the process. So the
and there will be no result.
Selling passport. You to your chairman.
So they all are 1 minute. They all are 1 minute going to 10 minutes.
You to your chairman did. So Minister Kimia and his team.
Sylvester time.
Attorney General, please. So Mr. Guinness,
you cannot answer to this. You cannot answer to
moving with misinformation around, and someone always write the next.
You cannot answer to it.
So it looks like.
There is plenty of time because everybody got to tip out.
Let me. I know you know the side.
So no, but let me be clear about something here. You know, from all the people who have just spoken, from every one of you who've just spoken, there's one common theme: the issue of corruption. You guys are just accusing each other of committing corruption. The UP people accuse the CDC accuse the UP back, and that's the reason why the fundamental problem in this country, the country has to address. And it's good that the two groups of people who've been ruling this country over the past 18 years, by the time we hit January, it's good that they all realize that the problem is corruption. UP accusing CDC of being corrupt, CDC accusing UP of being corrupt. I mean, it's true. Both of you guys are corrupt. That's the fact. And there's really no argument of that point. That we can deal with the issue of fundamental corruption in this country. This country makes absolutely no progress. And it's good that the two of you people are pointing that fact out. It's good. And the fact is that the Liberian people realize that there is only one group of people in this country right now, one person running for office that has made the issue of fighting corruption a bedrock issue. I mean, not fighting corruption on billboards are the way the UP people putting people in handcuff on billboard. Man, that's a joke. You know, you know that's a big joke. You're not going to handcuff people on billboard. You think you're solving corruption problem? That's not the way to deal with it. You know, we have to be serious about how we deal with this issue. You have a country that has an ailing economy, an economy that is on its knees. And then the guys are talking about shutting the country down because they're having rally. So they will get in the street, you know, or disturb everybody, make sure that no economic activity happen. When they could easily do their rally without standing in the middle of the road, they will all do it to disturb everybody because they think that they're making a point. You know, when you cross the Gabriel Tucker Bridge, in Monrovia, it's a horror show. The place is dirty. It's an absolute mess. The pavement doesn't exist anymore. It's both for you. It's both for you. It's something that you guys made to run down, and they've just come and made it to run down more. That's just all. So both of you have to blame for that. Not only them.
That place is not looking like that before.
It's not only them. It's both of you. Kiddings. Let's be real here. Let's be real. It's both of you. It's not only them. They have made a system to run faster. They've made a system to run faster than you people did, but both of you have contributed to this situation that we're in today.
We took a priority state.
Is that responsive to those areas, right?
Don't waste our time with that, man, Pee-wee. They say that this dirty, then you're talking about say the mayor, they say the dirty like this. The problem in this country.
They kind of retail politics when I have to.
No, Pee-wee, you talk for 10 minutes and nobody interrupted you. You talk for 10 minutes and nobody interrupted you. So 11 minutes where? I've just started talking, you start talking 11 minutes.
Yeah, 11
so
minutes.
We have to, it is sad. It is sad that we're still arguing about putting asphalt on the road in this country as achievement. We still fighting on. Getty's talking to you. Getty's talking to you.
No, Getty can't talk to
so
me.
When Tomalin, are you going to protect me? Tomalin, are you going to protect me? Tomalin, are you going to protect me? It's sad. It's so sad that we're still fighting over who put more asphalt on the road.
Protect me.
Hey, Pee-wee, stop that now.
No, but go ahead.
It's so sad that we are still Pee-wee, wait now. We're not on a UR campus, so stop that thing. Because Pee-wee doesn't want anybody to point out the flaws. No, Pee-wee, wait now. We're still fighting over who put more asphalt on the road. We still fighting on who put more asphalt on the road in this country than talking about who has advanced this country with respect to science, medical research, technology, and stuff like that. Who has moved the educational system forward? The educational system has actually deteriorated in the country since the war. The war years probably were better off than they are now. Nowadays, when a student passes one subject in WIAC, the person is passed. They will tell you the school made it highest because more people in our school pass one subject as opposed to people passing the regulation 5 subjects. The situation has deteriorated badly. And you guys are still sitting here talking about we did 400 miles of asphalt, you did 600 miles of asphalt. With other people who became independent. We're small, Giddings. 200 years ago, people were putting asphalt on road, they were doing trains. We are here 176 years later, the Indians, in just less than 80 years, the Indians were able to land or probe on the moon. And we still talking about putting asphalt on the road. We're not ashamed of ourselves. You guys are not even ashamed to be saying nothing. To be talking about after 176 years, we're talking about paying foreigners to come and put asphalt on our road. And you're taking that to be an achievement? Huh? You're taking that to be an achievement? We have to be ashamed of ourselves. Let me tell you the truth. If we don't fight the issue of corruption in this country, the country going nowhere. And that's the reason why those of us who are in the Gonglo movement have made it the major issue. Because we need to save resources to be able to invest in other more critical sectors. Education, number one, healthcare, the rule of law, obviously, making sure we invest in technology to move our country forward.
Okay.
We should be able to do these things on our own. Not sitting here talking about you build road in one community or stuff like that. When you cross the bridge, the whole place is so dirty and filthy.
Okay.
You know?
Welcome,
man.
Welcome, Keff Hassan. I think CC got more firepower and I can come on board. But let's, Mr. Russell, chime in. I mean, at least you sit on the fence. So just chime in. Get your chime in the debate. What's going on? We're going to go to Crossfire soon. So yes, come and see Crossfire soon between the guys are the competing guys. But Mr. Russell, chime in.
I'm not even sure where to chime in, because there is all of these different bickering all over the place. I'm not.
You got a former ruling party, you got a present ruling party, and you got the two other parties that are trying to become the new ruling party, the CPP and the LPP. So yeah, but just so you see.
I understand the context, but it's just. I think
the topic is on corruption,
it's
on infrastructure development and corruption.
I have a Jackie. You know what I'm saying. It's just same. I mean, all of the bickering and the noise and all of that. I think you all should set up a show just for these party loyalists to just go at it. And then can get another show where we can talk the issues and talk policies. But in any case, so I do agree with some of the panelists who have pointed out the fundamental flaw in the city governance process in Liberia, and I do know it didn't start with this government, but it seemed to have exacerbated under this government. For example, the roads that were built in Cardwell, you have these big trucks plowing the roads. There is no restriction. The roads in Cardwell that was built by the Salif administration. I mean, it's completely gone bad now, because they have not been managed properly. They have not been regulated with all of these heavy trucks, and I'm sure the road to Douala, across the bridge. Someone mentioned that too as well. So we have a fundamental problem with our whole city governance, process, and our how we are managing the whole process. I guess that's a different conversation for another time. But I do agree that just talking about roads construction and how many miles of roads that have been constructed, that in and of itself doesn't mean that the country has been governed properly, or it doesn't necessarily mean that they've done a good job in improving the lives of Liberians. I mean, there are so many different issues that need to be addressed that are not being addressed, and I think voters are looking at that. Voters are looking at how is this government or the next government or any other government going to come? How is this government going to improve our lives? So just by saying, well, we provided money to pay tuition or examination fees, that in and of itself is not what matters to a lot of people. People want jobs. People want food on the table. People want lawmakers and government officials to be held accountable, and not just running around. There are corruption allegations all over the place that are not being followed through and not being investigated. So we come on these platforms, and we talked about, and as loudly as possible. It seemed like it's sort of like a talk fest. Whoever can talk the most. We think that that's what getting things done. So there are a lot of things that fundamentally is wrong that we need to address. that things were wrong in the last administration that did not get addressed, and they just seem to have been forwarded to this administration that are not being addressed, that are hurting the people. And so until we can address those things fundamentally, we are going to continue to have problems. So it doesn't matter how loud we talk and or what sort of verbosity we use and the big words we use. That's not going to solve the problem. We have to get down and fundamentally address our governance issues with respect to the cities, with respect to the counties, and with respect to how we are managing the country as a whole.
Peabody, you've been quiet for long, man.
Yeah, I'm just giving the different as independent. Just giving folks the chance to speak. But let me say this: when it comes to corruption and engaging the CDC government, I think the party need to be quiet. To be honest, one of the guy the former Auditor General, who is now endorsing VP Barker, was one of those who said that the Unity Party government was more corrupt than any other government, and he's back now endorsing Nyenwolo is now endorsing Joe Barker. We'll look at some folks who have been sanctioned. We see a guy like Prince Johnson. We see a guy like Vonnie Sherman. We see a guy that they call the Liberian #1 corruption King Kong, Alex Dollars. They are all now riding on the boat of VP Barker that they can bring change to Liberia, or they can fight the corruption. So I think when it comes to that, I think the only person that can sit and say, you know what, I can engage when it comes to corruption, when it comes to things that have not been done, it's Alexander Cummings, because he has not worked in government. We've seen his track record out there and all of that. So I think what we say is like a flip-flop here today, of the Unity Party coming and telling, oh, we did this, and CDC said we did this. You were corrupt. I mean, if you have the Auditor General who say that the UP government will even 10 times more corrupt than another government, then what can you tell CDC about corruption, man? I mean, this is just floating, man. Just floating.
Jackie, come in, then we'll bring Keff in.
Yeah, I mean, on the issue of corruption, there's corruption all over the world, including in America. It's just a level of corruption. Peabody, Nyenwolo, over 15 years ago, did mention when he served as auditor. And the beauty about a Unity Party government is that when there are shortcomings in the system, we talk about it. As we talk about it, we talk about solutions to those problems. Madame Salif herself, who was interviewed several times by the likes of CNN, the BBC, all the well-known to our local radio stations and journalists. And even in her annual messages, she critiqued her own government, which was good, because as the VP critiqued Joseph Nima Boyka, they sat down to look for solutions. The first 6 years of the UP government, we saw what Liberia was not even on the map. So fighting corruption took a backseat because we needed to do what we needed to do. That was the reconciliation, to bring peace, to keep peace in the country, because there were so many arms. There were people coming from war who were traumatized. What do you do with these young people who fought the war? There were so many things that needed to be dealt with. And above all, how do we put our country back on the international scene where we get trust from donors, from partners, and to bring investment into the country so that we start to create jobs? Those first 6 years were the most challenging years coming from a war. So the focus was very, very narrow. And so as Madame Salif tried to seek out people who had skills to move and transform, because people had already moved out of the country, they were in the diaspora. How do you bring skillful people into the country now? So coming into her second term, Yeah, she started to deal and build all these anti-graft institutions and what have you. And the issue of eruption still stay there. But look at the development. The country went from $85 million budget to about $600 million dollar budget. It went from the school systems that were rehabilitated, schools were built. The roads upon roads that were built, reconstructed, that is unmatched to what CDC is claiming today. The success of Unity Party, nobody can compare it to what George Weah met. When George Weah met this country, we were at a good place, and you cannot compare it to when Unity Party met, to where Unity Party met the country. There is no comparison. But what did CDC do? They took the country back beyond the 12 years of Unity Party, and
Exactly.
where there is no trust in the investment climate. Therefore, there's no job creation. The concessions are struggling to carry out the corporate social responsibility, because people are going there giving them hard time where they shouldn't be giving these concessions hard time, which we know about. And I mean, the massive, George Weah was on radio. He said, well, how do I hold people accountable? They're asking about the LACC stuff. He said, how do I hold people accountable? This government has yet to admit it's wrong and apologize to the people. It's off-budget spending led to the harmonization, but it will not tell the people the truth. Come on, man. The roads that you say you build, you're talking about a new project, brand new project, where you're initiated in the construction.
Exactly.
It does not exist.
Exactly.
Because right now this government is building the Lofa to the Manakana highway that should have finished 2 years ago. They took the money, they cannot account for it, and therefore the road is stuck in where is this, Salaye or wherever that area is. It should have been finished now. That's an injustice to the Lofa County people, because the roads should have been completed today. The southeastern roads that were even paved, and graded. What happened to them now? It's deteriorated. People can't even travel in the southeast right now. And y'all want to talk today? No, look, this election is about the economy. The people are suffering. It's about drugs. Our children are dying and they are tired. Those children who are 13 years old, fall forward to 6 years now, they know what's going on. Prior to 2018, they were at least able to get a toy or two from their parents. Today, they cannot. Yes, paying WAS fees is good, but you can't say I'm going to take income from the Liberian people, the parents to those children, cut the income in half, and then you say, oh, guess what, I'm doing you a favor. If you give the people the income back, the parents the income back, they will be able to pay their own WAS fee in 1 month time or in half a month time. So
exactly.
That's the thing that CDC did and that they continue to do. And guess what? And the extrajudicial killing, let's not talk about that. People are not safe. Commerce used to operate on a Unity Party on a 24/7 basis. You go 3 o'clock in the morning, you see shops open. You see people selling things. You see people selling the late color, the late spaghetti. In the morning, they got money to pay their children's school fee and their children's WAS fees. Today, they don't have those money. You see wheelbarrow boys who have disappeared throughout the country, the petty traders. Come on. The people are tired. They are tired suffering. They're tired of the drugs. And therefore, they're going to vote for Joe Boyka.
Well, let's bring in Hassan. Kim, I'm sure you will respond to you guys. So, Keff, get your 2 minutes.
Yeah, how you guys doing? I still have new faces. Welcome, guys, to the closing argument. I understand. At the end, Jackie was right at the end. Your last statement, 100% right. You say people will vote for George Weah. So that's one of the correct thing. You said that at the end.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said George Weah. You said that. Yeah.
You never said that.
If I said it, you know what I meant.
So at the end,
you never said that.
You caught yourself.
That's not what she said. That's not what she said. That's not what she said.
No, you caught yourself. You said George. Then you caught yourself. go listen to it.
No.
Anybody here can listen to it. You cut yourself. But you know what the mindset, and that's what you were trying to say. But I wish the other guy can come in. I think his name is Roland. Let me ask him a question. Roland, how are you?
How are you, Kev? How are you?
Fine. Before I ask my question, quick question: is Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf still part of the Unity Party?
Well, I know that she was registered into the party, but of course she suspended her, activeness because of the award she won for. Is that Mo Abraham Award, which allowed her not to get involved in active politics, but she is a member of the Unity Party, as far as I know.
Currently, she suspended her membership. Currently, she's not part of
No,
it,
no,
right? Okay.
she has not suspended membership. She's not active.
Yeah, let me go into my question. Let me ask you this. Joe Buckeye will take all the credit for all these things you guys saying about the Unity Party. He would take those credits, right?
When you say take the credit, what do you mean? He was vice president on the Unity Party ticket. Of course, yes.
Of some of the gains.
Of course, yes. He would take the credits. He would take the credits of successes. Exactly.
He would take the credits. So he also take the credits of knockout and killings and all the other things that happen on the Unity Party, right?
No, let me say this.
Oh, no,
I won't answer it like yes. No, I won't answer it like that. Let me say this.
I don't want us to do
no, let me answer it this way. I will not answer it like yes or no, like you want. But let me answer it this way. Ambassador Buckeye criticized his own government as Madam Sirleaf did. He said there were opportunities that we squander.
No,
that means we could have done. No, 1 minute. You asked me a question, Chief. That means we could have done better. He criticized his own government. Madam Sirleaf said corruption would be public enemy number one. It metamorphosed into cancer, and before she left, she said it was vampire. She said the education system was a mess. It doesn't mean that nothing happened in education, but she was just admitting that there were more challenges like Ambassador Buckeye did. So yes, he would take responsibility for successes and also responsibility for some of the failures. And that's why he said there were opportunities that we had that we could have done better. And of course, he was being fair. Yes.
So he take responsibility with some of the killings that happened on the Unity Party.
Some of which killing? But who took responsibility for killing? Was there any investigation that suggested that people were killed and the Unity Party led government kill people?
No,
which investigation?
I'm just asking you some of the death.
No, but there was no investigation that indicted the Unity Party government for killing. There's no. So why will you say he take responsibility for that?
The reason I asked you that question because you were saying exactly when Jackie was talking about killing under the government, you were saying exactly which no investigation.
Yeah. Because you know why?
No.
Exactly.
No investigation that shows this government. So we can go both ways. But let me ask you this again. You stated that he would take credit for all those things. He enjoyed them. Let me ask you this.
Of course. Because we work for it.
Yeah, he works for it. I like that word. Word. He works for it. Was he a Packer?
He never said he was a Packer.
Oh my God.
He was not a Packer. He never said he was a Packer. The statement he made was turning into something else. He said he was a race car. Okay? If you want to know what a race car can do, put me on the track. So you need to get that. He said that during a debate.
Okay.
He never said he was a Packer, and that's what people run with. He said he was a Packer. He said he was a race car in the garage, and you want to know how it runs, put him on the track. He said that at a debate, and I know that.
So he was in the garage.
He said, as vice president, because of what the position is, when you get on the track, the president can be on the track and you're on the track.
No,
and you know that.
No. Yeah? Was he in the garage? You said garage. He was in the garage, right?
He was a race car park
in the garage. Thank you.
And we get on the track when he asked to get on the track. Of course. And we get on the track when he asked to get on the track.
I love truthful guy. When I said park, You said no. Now you saying park. You say garage. So he was in the garage. He was parked in the garage. You said,
and we get on the track when he asked to get on the track. Yes.
Yeah, you yourself said it. So
because that's what the position is.
My last question, guy: how can a race car that park in the garage, not on the lane, claim credits for success? How?
But don't.
So
yeah,
so
but Kev, yeah, but don't forget.
Is he
but
he riding charo or this kind of
thing? You want me to answer? You want me to answer? You want me to answer the question? You want me to answer the question? Look, if you look at what the ticket looked like, a presidential ticket takes the vice president and the president to get on the ticket. There's no way the vice president run as vice president and then the president run as president. There's a single ticket. And the vice president, of course, is responsible to work with the president. Constitutionally, the vice president cannot take onto him or herself a responsibility that's not given him. So until that happens, he works. And that's how it works, even now. Vice President Taylor can do anything without being instructed by President Weah. No, it doesn't work like that. And you know constitutionally what the vice president is. So he works when she asks him to work and provide assistance and advice where necessary. He did that many times, and I know about that.
Roland, are you aware that the Ministry of Agriculture and Youth and Sport were assigned to him? He was
assigned to him? Look, I work in the president's office for 7 years. One minute, Chief. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. I work in the president's office. No, but listen to me. I work in the president's office for 2007 to 2014 for 7 years at very high levels too, and got appointed at the Ministry of Public, as Deputy Minister for Administration. I know that. There was no time a whole ministry was assigned to the vice president. No. When a ministry is assigned, 1 minute. You asked me a question. You asked me a question and I responded. You asked me a question and I'm responding. So let me respond. The Ministry of Agriculture was not assigned to the vice president as his responsibility. That's not true. Even the youth sport, there was a project that he said he will work with them on that. Agriculture, if it were assigned to the vice president, I mean, he take responsibility for who the minister is. The minister, the deputy minister, has all the report directly to him. He gave them direct instructions. He provided guidance in cabinet on issue about agriculture when he was asked to do that. I know about that, but there was no full responsibility that was given to the vice president to say agriculture ministry is for you and you report to me. No, that's not true. Otherwise, he would have recommended to the president. Then I want the minister to be somebody that I know can work because I'm providing direct supervision. It never happened, and that's not true. And yet people running with that information. There was no time. Ministry of Agriculture and Youth and Sport was assigned to him as a ministry to be in charge of. That's not true, and I know that for a fact.
Ben, I beg you. Let me just sneak this in. Ben, I beg you. Let me just sneak this in. Although the minister, who was the minister, said that, and I believe the minister.
Which minister? Eugene Angwe? But what you expect you to say?
Let me ask
what you expect Eugene?
Did Boca represent Liberia and did Boca represent Liberia overseas from the instruction of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Did she send him overseas to represent Liberia?
Oh yeah, she did that. He spoke at the UN. He represented her at the General Assembly. So he had a visit.
So he was not a Boca.
But you're not understanding. You're not understanding what he said. But you're not understanding what he said. No, the context in which he spoke. No. He did not lie. You're not understanding what the context was. There was a debate. And people were talking about him being the vice president. And he said, I was the vice president, yes. But I am a race car because we all know what the vice president position is. You move when you're asked to move. But I am a race car park. Put me on the track as the president and see what I would do. That was the chronology. So I don't know how it's been misinterpreted that he was parked and doing nothing. How can you be vice president and you do? And let me say this. Madam Sirleaf has said that she and Ambassador Boca from 2006 to 2017 never had issues. Never had issues. He respected her. She respected him. She assigned him responsibility when necessary, and I know some of them. But that one you're talking about agriculture and youth and sport, There was no direct assignment that he was responsible for those ministries. She sent him out of the country when necessary. He spoke to the UN General Assembly. He had a state visit to the White House. I know that. And there were times where I even traveled with him sometimes on some of the trips that he represented. Yes.
Roland, it's good to see you, my brother. Listen, it's
Yes,
refreshing
Ben.
to see another Unity Party. I mean, I would want to inquire if the blockade is off the closing argument, because we understand there was a blockade. Our sister Jackie has been holding the fort here for you. So I know you are
But
big man
Jackie is there.
in the party. I know you are a big man, in it, but you know you're my big brother. So we go a long way. So I'm asking you to please tell them to lift the blockade. We want to interview you. We want to ask you something.
But I'm here.
No, what
I'm here. I'm going to be there.
I'm excited to see somebody like you here. But let me say that a great show, guys. Sorry for coming late. You know, we contrary to what some of Roland and Jackie people think, some of us do work. We do work for our living. We don't depend on politicians. Yeah, no, you know that your Unity Party believe that job and Ellis Cummings paying me. So contrary to what I do work as a project manager in this country.
Well, I'm not in that.
No, I know. But let me say something, Roland. I just wanted to ask you a question, and it's going to be one or two. And please, guys, and it's good to see my brother Winfred Russell. Also, it's good to see you here, and the rest of the crew. Let me ask you a question, Roland. You know, you said something very fascinating, and I like the way you went. You did say you work in the president's office. Do you agree with the former vice president that he was a race car? Whatever he said, because I don't want to rephrase it before you say I rephrase it. Whatever he said, whatever that analogy was, do you agree with that statement? Do you believe that he wasn't used to his potential? Do you believe that he wasn't?
Well, again, let's be fair. All vice presidents will not be used to their potential. When you're the vice president, even if you have a suggestion, to just tell the president what you want to do, you're very careful, because you don't want it to be seen as the president believing that you're taking too much beyond what the president is thinking. So you're even very careful with the advice that you give. Of course, there's so much you can have within that you take time to express, because you don't want to cross certain lines. And you know what? The vice president was a vice president to a female. And let's be fair about that. Let's be fair.
No, but you
as much as we all know what it is. No, I'm just saying this. So he had to be very careful. Besides that, the vice president, clearly is a traditionalist.
So you agree with him?
He understands what it is to work with people. So yes.
So you agree with
I'm saying to you, he was quiet. He of course he acted when he was asked to act, but during that debate, his argument was, look,
Roland,
I am a race car park. Yes, Roland, he said that.
That's why I'm asking you.
And when I'm asked, when I'm asked to move, I will definitely move. But now I'm running to be president. Roland, put me on the track and see what I can deliver. Yes.
That's why I'm asking you, do you believe him? You were close to the presidency also. You saw the operations. Because
I think he's a race car park.
Accurate statement.
He was a race car park, and we moved when he asked to move.
Okay, yes. Great. So let me ask you my second question, Mr. Salif. Roland, you are a professional. Would you hire someone if you didn't get a reference from their former boss? Would you, if you were to hire, if you had a position and you advertise this position, you president, CEO of a major company, you want to hire a great manager to come and manage the operations of the country, of the company, and you ask for reference from the former job, and you want to hear directly from the former boss of that person you're trying to hire. If that person refuse, for whatever reason, they refuse to give a reference, a good character and professional reference, would you hire that person?
Well, it depends. It depends on what the situation is. Because if the person I want to hire, I think that person has what it takes to do the job, I will want to also inquire why his or her boss is not providing the reference required. So I may do some investigation. If I ask the boss to provide reference and the boss says to me, for example, I can provide reference, I think I will go further, especially if I have interest in that person doing the job and also have some understanding about this person. I would just do that. Okay, so yes, but I would be concerned that the boss should provide reference.
You would be concerned. You would be concerned.
Course,
you would have concerns, right?
Of course,
And
yes. Yeah.
would you go as far as saying maybe there's something this boss know that you don't know? I mean, I'm just trying to figure, because let me tell you.
No.
This is my last thought on this, because the panel is
Ben, we're going to get another point involved now.
That's what I said.
Ben,
Ben trying to trap you.
Yeah.
Ben,
I would just come in, Ben.
Well, I played a video here where Madam said,
Jackie, I'm not talking about video.
Ben,
Jackie, Tommy protect me now. Jackie, you see what Jackie doing? This is what she's doing. She know where I'm going. She's trying to.
Jackie, I beg you. I know, Jackie. I know where Ben is going.
You know,
I know where Ben is going.
So Roland, and let me just, because I gotta go. You see the moderator already coming down my neck. Let me say this, Madam Sirleaf. Listen, you are asking the country to hire former Vice President Joe Biden. Listen, that's one of the reservations that I have when it comes to this man's leadership. Right? One of, not only that, one of the reservations I have, that he served for 12 years, and coupled with the fact that every other job that he has held, he hasn't assumed responsibility. He's always shifted the blame. But when you ask him about LPMC, he said, "Oh no, everything that went well in LPMC, he did it. But everything that went bad in LPMC, it was Doe's fault. When you talk about LPRC, it was Emerson's fault that went bad, but good, it was him. When it comes to Liberia and his vice presidency, everything that went well was Ellen, was him, but everything that went bad he was a race car park." So that's where I was coming from with you. And the fact that Mrs. Sirleaf could not give the country a character, stand as a character witness, like Barack Obama did for Joe Biden in this country. When Joe Biden wanted to be president, his former boss stood up to the American people and said, he was the first in the room, he was the last in the room. All of the tough decisions that I made in this country, Joe was right there with me. So they say the only person who is qualified to be president is somebody who has been president. And what he said also was, at the end of the day, I come here and now I will let it go. He said, at the end of the day, this man, Joe Biden, knows the job because he was there with me. I believe that Joe Boyka was there with Ellen. Why is Mrs. Sirleaf not able to tell us this guy is capable to do this job? Do you have a problem with that?
Ben, I know you're playing the devil advocate, because I know you also know why. You can say why, but you won't say it yet. But let me say this. You also know, Ben. You know, and I know you know. But let me say this. Jackie referenced an interview 3 months to the election. Madam Sirleaf had a 2 hours interview. No, it was her now, Ben. Ben, it was her. And she was asked the question, who do you think is best suited for this job to take over from you? So she said, Ambassador Barker. I come in 1 minute. Wait now, Chief. Wait 1 minute. No, I will tell you later on. So there is a reference for when she said that he should be the one to take over from her, and that he had all it took to be president. She said that it came from her. And that recording is everywhere. It's a full interview. Closer to the election, of course, yes, there were issues. And you see, that's what people do not know. Ambassador Barker is not a person who said don't take responsibility. That's not true. He said we squander some opportunities. So when you say we, does that exclude you? You're not being fair to him. We squander opportunities, some opportunities. He didn't say they. He did not exclude himself from that. He said we squander some opportunities. And I think he was being fair to criticize his own government. Madam Sirleaf also criticized her own government. She said the education system was a mess. Do you think it was really 100% a mess? No. She said corruption metamorphosed from public enemy number 1 to cancer, then later on to what? Vampire. And she spoke to the legislature and said that she was criticizing herself. And of course, you do that at times to criticize yourself. He also did the same. He said, we squander some opportunities. And of course, yes, every government will have the time when they do that. Even if whoever you support come to power would be the same. So the point I'm making there is that Ambassador Boyka at a certain point in time, Madam Sirleaf thought that she would not support him. And she had her reason for doing that. The point I'm making is we asked when he ran to be president that whatever it is that we did as Unity Party and us now, go ahead, CDC, and audit us. And we all know the issues. We know the government had issues. I'm one of those who know that the government had issues. Madam Sirleaf took responsibility for the collapse of NOCAL. She said that. She said, I take responsibility. Who was the board chairman? Hassan. But she took responsibility for that. You don't have issue with that. She did, isn't it? And it was her government, and she took responsibility for that. Okay? So the point I'm making to you is that because she did not sanction, lastly, his presidency, it doesn't mean he did not have the capacity. There were issues that you know, Ben, very well. And I think you know about that, you know, and we're not gonna discuss those things here. They are how they play the politics, and then later we'll talk about that. And you know, so was that because that he's incompetent and all that? You know, so I'm not talking that here. You're not gonna allow me. You're not gonna bring me to talk that here, Ben. I will not do it.
Dude, you be hearing the former ruling party and the present ruling party.
No, the former ruling party and Ben, he been hearing it. There's a bad engagement. So so you got to clarify that.
Well, you're gonna be former ruling party very soon. You're gonna be former ruling party very soon.
Somebody got CDC former ruling party.
I said the former ruling party UP. I said the present ruling party. Yeah. So dude, come in, dude.
You know, Tomalin, first and foremost, you know, look, I know there is some level of stigma in this community when people talk, you know, we think that it's all noise and that, but on this platform, we're individuals from different backgrounds, right? Professionals in our own discipline and with our own network and engaged in a lot of different things that have value, right? And so I think we should be very respectful of the engagements here. I think one of the process in establishing, you know, a particular conversation is talking about the issues and then finding a way to solve those issues. Tonight, again, that particular pattern of two destructive political institutions discussing who was more, you know, unqualified or incompetent than the other is what we continue to witness when it comes to the former ruling party, who are the former thieves, and then the dysfunction that we're currently seeing. Let me make this quick reference here. You know, the mighty Brazil. There was a time that Brazil had the likes of Roberto Carlos, the Ronaldo, the Ronaldinos. Those were the golden age of Brazilian football. When you see Brazil now, and you look through the tunnel, you know that those players will never wear a jersey again for the national team. And that team continues to struggle to even win the World Cup. This is the case with the Unity Party. I don't care what you talk about, the progress of the Unity Party under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. One thing that's been established, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf would never walk through this door as president of the Republic of Liberia on the Unity Party ticket. So then the logic here is, let's look at the individual who is running on that ticket, the qualifications of that individual, and all of the existing issues that we continue to highlight. Is Joseph Boyka more competent than Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Absolutely no. Is Joseph Boyka more competent than George Weah? Absolutely no. Both of them mimic the same things that we've been critical of. And we have 50 years under the microscope to provide us evidence and clarity to voters in Liberia in terms of this man's work history. That's how people evaluate individuals who are seeking public office. When we look at the 50 years of the former vice president, his time in public service, it has been nothing but a disaster. It has been marred by corruption, ineptitude, lack of productivity, as proven. Read the Ted Kennedy letter. Read the report for the PL 480. Go back to the General Auditing Commission. Look at all of those issues that have been raised. Those are not speculation about corruption. It is indicated in the United States government report, wherein it said millions of dollars given to Liberia to address the issue of agriculture, in which the former vice president was the foundation of those green revolution, was embezzled by agencies or the agency of government that was responsible to implement it. It is in the U.S. Government report. Joseph Boyka was in charge of those entities, the Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation and the Ministry of Agriculture. Then our argument comes here today. What we are talking is that then if all of those things are visible, if those are the things that we continue to speak of, then why is it that these people keep presenting themselves as solutions? There is no way the CPP Alice Cummings, right, mimics everything that these people have spoken about. We've seen two political parties that have not offered solution today, right? Today. After 50 plus years, we are still talking about job creation in Liberia. Today, those two individuals cannot tell you where they have created jobs in the private sector. Today, the former vice president, who is believed to be this agricultural guru, cannot tell you where he created jobs in that particular sector. Nothing is functioning. Nothing is. Where is LPMC today? Where is the Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation today? If this man was so clever, was so impactful, was excellent at implementing, why is it we no longer have a Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation? Because of corruption, because of ineptitude, because of lack of productivity. My argument here today to voters and directly to the hearts of the Liberian people before my colleagues come up, we want to focus on those issues and look at those individuals that are presenting themselves as solutions. I have constantly said, in addition to the overwhelming corruption that Mr. Cummings will address, I said one of the issues that I see from a practical perspective, and as a professional, I went to Liberia and I saw some of those existing issues, small businesses. I went into the populated markets. I went to banks. I wanted to understand why the banks were not really lending to Liberian businesses. And I think I got an understanding of the quality issues and the kind of money that they have in the bank and the DDA struggled and all of that stuff. I'm aware of that. But if you are really concerned about a non-existent private sector, an economy that continues to struggle, then the logic here is that who amongst the Joseph Boycott, the George Weah, and the Alexander Cummings is more qualified to fix that issue? Will you present yourself for a surgery to a carpenter, or you'll go to a doctor that speaks skill in that area? When it comes to economic issues, do you seek a solution from a Joseph Boycott who will show you over 50 years that he's been unproductive? Do you go to a George Weah that hasn't provided jobs in the country, or you come to an Ellis Cummings who comes with a proven record? We are going to solve that issues using practicality, using an economic sectoral approach, using things that we know that will kickstart the economy from day one. That's why we've spoken about ecotourism. That's why we've spoken about making sure we're moving from what a cash-based economy is and creating a digital payment system to hold people more accountable. That's why we've seen the issue of drug addiction amongst young people. It has to be a wholesome approach. And for the first time you heard Mr. Cummings talk about the supply and demand strategy. He has been practical. He has been vocal. He has exerted his level of practicalism. His proven history of success on the biggest stage for a multi-billion-dollar institution, something that we have not had before. And this is the argument where we will continue to present, and we will say it to the Liberian people finally, Tomalin and the rest of the panelists. We don't want to continue to listen to people who have been failures telling us how to move. When people come and talk about government experience, it wastes my time. What government experience? What government experience that you can show the people at JFK today that say that it is working for them? What experience that you can tell the people at Lofa today that the former vice president was able to turn Lofa into an agricultural producing hub? If you go on the highways, you see those yellow machines that were paid for millions of dollars laying to waste because of the vice president. We need solutions, and we don't need talkers. We need implementation, and this is why Liberia needs to be moved forward by people with vision, people who comes with a history, not a Joseph Boycott with 50 years of ineptitude trying to replace another inept president. We cannot settle for that, and we want solutions.
Wow, that's Duke Estrada JJ from the opposition CPP of Mr. Alexander B. Cummings making his case, saying that CDC and UP should give way and let Cummings and take the helm of our country. Wow, but some other people would like to respond to you, Duke. Against
I have a question for Mr. JJ as well.
Yeah, go ahead, and Sylvester can come here.
Mr. JJ, so earlier you talked about Mr. Cummings not accepting a salary, which is admirable, I must say. But my other question, I think I heard you say that his salary, instead of taking the salary, which by law he has to do, of course, but maybe a minimal salary, if that. So why is he giving it to the GAC? I think I heard you say that, as opposed to say the SOS or the Monrovia Football Academy or Keep Liberia, and there are many other organizations, in Liberia that because the GAC gets government allotment, get financial assistance from international donors and all of that. So why is he not giving money to some of these organizations that would directly impact the people, that would directly go into the communities and all of that? I'm just sort of curious.
Thank you. And so you're right. By law, he can't just not with the however redirected. So the logic here is, and the GSC is just one of those arms that I referenced. There are many others. What the trend of thought here is this, that he wants to tackle corruption. He wants to tackle the integrity issues. And the logic here is that money, he wants it to go right back into the system to strengthen those integrity-based institutions. The argument here is that even though there's been some kind of budgetary allotment for those, I don't think it has been sufficient enough, right, to be able to maximize those different agencies, those different accountability sector that I thought we believe that they would have been used for. So I think that's a smart way. And again, it directly impacts those places that you're talking about, those different organizations, because if we start clamping down on corruption, when we start enabling those accountability sectors, then we run into an opportunity wherein we are now seeking back or taking back monies that have been misused by other people based upon investigation that's actually used as well.
I think the Mary's point of caution should be quick.
I think, my man, we're talking about corruption business. I know you guys corrupt. You don't like to hear solutions.
No, but no, you got to take solutions.
I do agree with you, Russell. You know, I do
take all the time.
Agree with you.
Just wrap up.
I'm almost done. I do agree with you that there are other pressing needs for those different areas that you've listed. But I think the focal point should be about making sure we're instituting some measure of integrity by strengthening those accountability sectors, and then seeing how best we can spur economic growth that will be of help of those different outlets that you've listed as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry because of I've just been notified by the time, so let's give everybody the time to just 1 hour, 1 minute, 30 seconds to just do your closing. So we'll start with you, Pee Wee, so we can get the time.
Yeah. Quickly, Duke, you got the F1 trade to come here and call the president in F. Can an F president wallop your standard bearer the past election? You call the president in F president. He walloped the president past election. He's going to wallop him again this election. Let me go quickly and say these things. You talk about cash-based issue. Now, this government and the Minister of Finance and this president, the Minister of Finance, what we did now, we got more. Now, most of our cash issue is now we even revolutionize and democratize the issue of mobile money activities in Liberia today. Today, if you are most of the transaction now, we are moving into almost cashless society. It is because of the kind of innovative economic policy put into place via this government-owned instrumentality. Then you come here and say those things. Today, there are a lot of major things we can boast of in the Republic. Most of the time, today, we have one of the modern state-of-the-art hospital in Sotuweta in Bapul that will focus on about 4 different counties, if you will. That will be Bomi, Cape Mount, Bapul itself, Bon, and Lofa. The Emery Hospital. Today we have the 14th Military Hospital. We have the hospital in River Cess and the rest of that. When this government inherited the president inherited this government, the inflation was at the whopping 27%. He reduced it to single digit. Now we got it in single digit. Then you're saying, listen, I don't want to go in the debate when you are going after it. I do understand clearly that the United Party got no option for this country, got no solution for this process. This president, the solution, that's why he was elected. He defeated Bwaka in 14 of the 15 counties. Now, the reason why he's going to be re-elected is for his record. And that's what I said. It's for his record, what he's done for the people. Now, the folks are turning out in this political process now on the basis of what the president have done over the years and all of those things. So if you're talking about careless society and the rest of what is unfolding in the country now, it is this administration that did most of those things. We don't have time, but time to time, we'll move through the process and narrate our story. The story is good from our side. We exhibited very clean record in terms of what we promised, the commitment we made to the people of Liberia. And these are the processes we're moving on to ensure that we promote the process about the Liberianization. Today, you see more Liberians empowered. Today, we move to ensure that the dual citizenship thing that every government can start pushing up. It was this president that initiated and ensured that it was passed into law. Today, Liberians from all walks of life will claim onto their Liberian citizenship while holding on. That's why today you see people like you, Duke, and the rest of the folks are very proactive in our politics, because today now you have the reign to move on through the process. So, I mean, we need to celebrate. He's not an incompetent president. He's very competent. He's able. He's sensitive. And that's the reason why the Liberian people elected him to move forward. So we want to time to time move through this issue, portray our side, come out and say the good news of what we've done. President George Weah is going to be elected, re-elected, as per his record, because of the major, delicate balance of power during this very peculiar time, this critical time, that he mustered the courage to protect our economy and safeguard the economy moving forward. The macroeconomic stability was not a magic. It was what we refer to as major policy reform process that were put into place. Today we have a wonderful macroeconomic stability in this country, and we're going to move that and moving forward. We'll further reduce the level of inflation and make sure our country is back on course of recovery. And that's the kind of recovery we want, because the coronavirus hit us very hard, and we have to put into place major policy reform process.
That's Sylvester K. Peewee, the former Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Liberia for Public Affairs. And we are surrogate making the case for president. We are re-election. I will go to Johnny. Johnny, give 2 minutes, Johnny, to just give me Give you 2 minutes to just wrap up, so we can move to the other guys to close up. Johnny, you muted. Johnny, you muted. Can't hear you. But then let's move to Mr. Giddings. Wow, Mr. Giddings, yes. Thank you for coming. I want to give you 2 minutes to wrap up. Thank you so much for being part of this great discussion today.
Thank you, and I mean, excited to be here. And we'll always make myself available when necessary. Let me just make a correction with Sylvester Peewee. He spoke about the government has paid for 400+ kilometer of road. No, the Ministry of Finance, together with the campaign chair, Eugene Nyenwolo, was on ERBC, and they reported that they have paved 600+ kilometer of road. After that talk show, the Minister of Information was on OK FM, and he repeated that. And I called in and said it was wrong. And he said I should prove that. I published the roads paved by them. It was anywhere around 200+ kilometer of road. To date, the city government has not come back to rebut my publication. In fact, the Minister of Finance came by and apologized that he was given wrong information about the kilometer of road paved. We paved 700+, almost 800 kilometers of road. In our first term, we paved 298 kilometers of road when there was no road inherited. So let me just clear that as a investor. That's not true. Look, my focus is CDP. He apologized to the Liberian people. Judah J made him to apologize. He did.
No message. He didn't apologize, Mr. Guinea.
Judah J made him to apologize. He said he will give her wrong information. You not in the but Tomalin, is that a debate? Is that a debate? It can't be a debate. It can't be a debate. The minister apologized. You are not in Liberia. The Liberian people want him apologizing that he was misled by the Ministry of Public Works about the figure given to him. Okay, and to date, it's not more than that. Okay, so we clear with that. The minister apologized. Ask him, he'll let you know. So I mean, I'm not doing much about that. But let me say this: our focus is on CDC, and that CDC we're going to discuss. We're gonna punch CDC. We're gonna continue to do that, and I know because there are a lot that they've not done in corruption. Of course, a lot of corruption cases that you did nothing. You did nothing, and I think Jackie listed a lot of them. I also said much about even the Ministry of Agriculture was indicted. The minister was indicted. The LCC, there was an indictment also for the NEC. There was an indictment also for water and sewer, and lists. Those indictments were supposed to go to court. And then Councillor Mountain was removed, or arrest at the retreat in Ganta. And what happened? Today he's not going to be the chairman of LCC because he tried to prosecute people who were corrupt in government. You don't fight corruption. Look, you can go ahead and call us name. I know CDC name about criminals and all of that. We're not going to follow that with you. If you check Mr. Cummings' cycle, there are a lot of people who work in a Unity Party government now within his cycle. And some of them got issues, and I won't call the name. So take time when you start to talk about this clean person and want to see a society not corrupt, but of course have a lot of people around him too who got issues and have worked in the Unity Party-led government. When Sylvester spoke about the passport saga, Toga McIntosh was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Today, he supports Mr. Cummings. He's there in your soccer. So let's be careful when you start to talk about, corruption and that Mr. Cummings will do this. Let's be careful about what you're talking about. And I want to just push forward on this. All the deaths of the auditors, those were key people who were auditing very key issues. The death of the auditors at LRA, they were auditing the transitory accounts. The government has transitory accounts at the different banks that allow taxpayer to pay money and it moves into the consolidated accounts. Those accounts, over $24 million. When it was audited by the two auditors at LRA, there was issue, no accountability. Those accounts, you don't withdraw from them. You only receive money and transfer them into the consolidated accounts. That was what they were auditing. And they had a report. And that report was all around here. Jim Kezulu, who was the audit commissioner, had to leave this country overnight into Sierra Leone. He's not in the country today. And he was the boss of Gifty and Peter. So the death of those people in government link the government to an extent. If you look at what happened with Innis at the central bank, what was he responsible for? He was asked to do the report on the MAPA exercise, the 25 million, and he refused and challenged that and said the exercise was wrong, the way the procedure was not right, and so he was not doing it and would not do any report. The next thing we heard, he was knocked down overnight, and nobody knew what happened to him. So let's forget about all these things you're talking about. The extrajudicial killings that have been highlighted by even the Americans is something that your government would go with. 3 boys missing, nothing happened. Simose today is protected. He was never arrested. He took them to wherever they got missing. He was never called in for any questioning. Today, he still run his business. And those boys were never found, not even the body. So let's stop that. The people will vote against CDC on those records, those terrible records. I do know that. And you have a lot to account for, CDC. Let me say this last. On anti-corruption, I hear Councillor Pago talk about anti-corruption. We will do that. John Molu is in our cycle. If Unity Party, if Joseph Boakai is somebody who likes corruption, he will not bring John Molu in the cycle. John Molu will be responsible for so much on anti-corruption, on assets recovery, and on anti-corruption. John Molu will be there to do that. We'll audit the CDC government. CDC did not audit us. You were supposed to do that. We will audit you, I can tell you. Prepare for that. All of those in government who've gotten themselves involved in all kinds of corruption, all kinds of things, we will audit you. We will not act like you, who did not audit the Unity Party-led government, because to an extent, you were in bed with certain people in the government overall. And that's why you did not audit. We will audit the CDC-led government when we win the election. I'm not saying if, I'm saying when we win, because we will win the elections. Thank you guys for having me. I will always be here when necessary. Jackie, thanks. Thanks for having me.
We look forward to, as 33 days to go.
Thanks,
keep this debate on and make sure that Liberian people make their decision on October 10th. Mr. Russell, get your parting comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Tomalin, and thanks to everyone, all of the panelists. It's been a very healthy conversation and debate here. One thing I'd like to highlight in my closing is Peace Corps volunteers are back in Liberia, and the Peace Corps volunteers played a very critical role in the development sector of our country. So I think there's a good plus that the current government have laid the groundwork that finally allowed Peace Corps to come back after the COVID-19 pandemic that caused a lot of them to leave. So there are 12 Peace Corps volunteers that have returned to the country. They will be basically working in the health and education sectors, two critically important sectors of the country. So I think that's good news. I think we all can talk about and speak about being trained or being taught by Peace Corps volunteers. I know I was back in Nimba at Ganta United Methodist Mission. So it's a good thing to see the Peace Corps volunteers back. We started on talking about the elections and election integrity and all of that. So my closing comment would be about that. The National Elections Commission clearly must do all they can to curtail any semblance of vote buying and rigging in the upcoming election. So even if the NEC conducts free and fair elections, those candidates with the deepest pockets, they would try their best. They would do all they can to buy their way to the presidency. And that must not happen. And we should not allow that to happen. So I will call on the NEC to curtail any semblance of vote buying or vote rigging in this upcoming election. Voter inducements, providing rice and T-shirts. I know these are things that happen a lot in our politics. That practice has been going on. Providing voters with money or gifts, almost as old as the Republic itself. But we have to tell people and tell voters that it is illegal. It is illegal within our electoral framework. NEC has to put as much public service information out there that this practice is illegal. And if it is not checked, it will affect the administration and integrity of the voting. Peaceful election process takes a lot. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so I would just like to encourage all Liberians who will be participating in these elections, who are registered to vote, and even those who are other candidates from afar, whether in the diaspora or not. We all should encourage our folks to vote wisely. Thanks for the opportunity, and I look forward to being back on the air again. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Thank you. Duke?
Yes, Tomalin, another great show, and I think the closing argument continues to, provide opportunities for different political parties to express themselves. Just the opportunity to have different panelists, different people, and regardless of the disagreement, it continues to highlight the potential that all of us have to be able to impact Liberia. Peabody, when I speak of ineptitude, and I think it has gotten some level of some kind of dark connotation to it because of the way it's been used. I'm talking about the lack of skills. When I'm talking about the inability to produce, right, to be able to give the Liberian people what they deserve in terms of leadership, in terms of job creation. Let me just highlight something quickly as some sort of example of ineptitude. A week or so ago, the former vice president was actually on one of his interview address to the people of Liberia. And he had mentioned that during his tenure, when they talked about roads, he has suggested to the former president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Madam President, don't you think that we should increase taxes on imports so we can be able to get money and stuff down there to build roads? And I thought for a second, this is ineptitude. This is lack of skill. This is a lack of ability to lead, to think. How would a former vice president suggest that there be increment per taxation during a down economy when the economy was struggling, there was no job, nothing was moving? I mean, does the former vice president understand that taxation becomes a burden and is one of the weakest things to do when it comes to a down economy? Those are the things that we're highlighting in terms of ineptitude, because those will be the critical issues that the next president will have to make determination on when it comes to governing the country. But what it showed, though, is that the former vice president is out of touch. And now I see why Madam Sirleaf does not take him seriously. Because if you're advising Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to increase taxes during the down economy when the people are struggling, right, an additional burden as a way to be able to raise revenue, it tells you that this man, with all of the nonsense that they said about his governmental experience, just doesn't understand what he's doing. So that's something of ineptitude. Also, job creation under the current administration. You said you are going to create 1 billion jobs. You became worse than your predecessor. You know, the president did not exercise judgment when he saw during the Pitt and the Crow report all of the things that happened in the additional corruption, the IPOMAV loan, also spending money and bringing people from overseas to celebrate or July 26th. Those are all poor judgment and example of ineptitude. But on this show tonight, in my conclusion, the question I should ask the Liberian people, and I want to use two things. We talk about corruption, integrity, and we talk about job creation. When you look at the George Weah, the Joseph Boyka, and Alexander Cummings, Who is more competent? Who is more qualified to be able to provide jobs or create jobs in the private sector? Who is more competent? Who is more qualified to be able to tackle the issue of corruption? You have George Weah and Joseph Boyka that have been tied to corruption. We can talk about the 16 billion. We can also talk about the 480 million from PR 480, the General Audit Commission, the ADA project, all of the corruption scandal that surround those people. But most importantly, we can also look at the state of Liberia and say, are we satisfied with that country? Based upon all of the things that we say from all of these individuals, are we in agreement that those people represent what it needs to change the country? And Tommy, finally, I will close here on this. When Black America was faced with economic challenges, one of the things we remember the most of Dr. King is his "I Have a Dream" speech, wherein he spoke about economic equality and making sure that we're giving rights to people and government was working. That was a defining moment in America's history. For us in Liberia, our defining moment will be, how is it are we electing people that can move the needle in terms of job growth versus repeating those corrupt politicians of the Boyka who have not offered anything in terms of change? We want real change, and the only way we can accomplish that is when we look outside of system and bring somebody with vision in Mr. Cummings. That's what we're offering. That's what he's going to do. And I can assure you, amongst all of the individuals listed, he's the most competent, the most qualified, and the only person that will deliver Liberia. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Duke Estrada JJ of the CPP making a compelling and convincing case for his candidate, Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. Let's, Johnny, you ready? So we can move. We're almost done. Johnny, you ready? Johnny's still not ready. So Jackie, Keff, Peabody, then we can call it a day. Let's, Jackie, you make progress.
Johnny, you muted. You are muted.
You're not muted. I know. He's not muted. He's not muted. I see. Jackie, you have time before calling out, so let me make time because we're not
okay. Every day do come on this show with his fake stories, alternative facts. Look, Joseph Newman Boyka, I tell people all the time, a doctor cannot teach a farmer how to farm, just like how a farmer cannot teach a doctor how to carry out surgery in the operating room. Alexander Cummings has never, ever in his entire life served in public office. He doesn't understand it. All he does is he takes his notebook. I've been around him. He writes down things. The Liberian people will not be governed by somebody who walks around with a notebook. Rather, they will be governed by somebody who has the experience. Even in the private sector, Alexander Cummings was never, ever in his entire life a CFO. So how will he manage the budget in Liberia, a whole country's budget? It's not going to happen. The Liberian people spoke to him over and over and said, do this, do that. He never listened to them. He said, I must be president by all costs. But yet still in the private sector, he was willing when people told him, do this, take this job, and then you will climb up the ladder. He listened, although he never reached the CFO level and above. And now he wants to go to Liberia and say, I want the CEO job when you were never even the CEO in America. The president of any country is the #1 CEO in that country. The VP is the #2 CEO in that country. And this is the reason why the Liberian people trust Joseph Newman Boyka today, because he climbed up the ladder. He understands economics. He understands finance. He understands road construction. He understands agriculture. He understands retirement and how to pay the civil servants. He understands how to hire qualified people to run and help him run the country. He understands the grassroots Liberians because he too was a grassrooter. He took him from the lowest end of Liberia and grew up in the lowest end of Liberia. He understands the grassroots. He understands what the suffering is about. And for that reason, with his experience. Joseph Newman Boyka is the next president of the Republic of Liberia. Thank you.
There you go.
Peabody.
You know, often in our politics in Liberia, we always see people who live in glass house and throwing serious stone. And that's one of the things that we see when it comes to Jackie defending Joe Barker here. We have a man who was in public service for over 42 years, and all he did was to fill the country. In fact, even his very close friends like Alex Cummings, he went to court and testified against him, even on a Bukas case. And we see here today, he deceived a friend, Ben Sanvee, for over a whole year, who supported him, provided logistic and everything for him, Henry Costa, and now he's alarming himself with God like Correction King Kong, Vanning Sherman, Big Ball 1, Big Ball 2, and even his own auditor, his own auditor general who worked within the government called his own United Party as the most corrupt government. And this man is coming back now. I think when it comes to corruption, I don't think United Party is fit to even engage CDC on any corruption issue in Liberia, because they have a track record. Even with death, we have a couple of folks that died under President Salih government, and the death was mysterious. We don't know whether nothing came out of the body. Well, the former managing director of LPRC, Harold Greaves, was killed mysteriously. The other lawyer was killed as well. So there's nothing really they can tell the CDC. The person who can actually engage, a man who worked in corporate world, control billions of dollars, is Alexander Cummings. But you cannot look to the CDC government and tell them that they're corrupt, and tell them that they mess the economy up, and tell them before they left power, the economy was already a mess for CDC to over. My only problem I have with the CDC government, they did not punish the folks. They did not punish them. And that's why they are here again, acting like they are number one clean in the country. Thank you.
I think that Tomalin, very quickly, I just need to fact check something. As I mean, you're an independent, I'm an independent. Fact check something that Jackie said about Mr. Cummings. I'm from Minnesota, and Mr. Cummings was vice president for finance, which is equivalent to the chief CFO of Pillsbury Companies in Minnesota. So I just wanted to fact check that.
That's how the United Party people would do it.
Jackie, have you been before?
But don't bring Jackie to this tea to get our time, man. Duke, let's run.
I just want to say it. It was not easy to have had.
Listen. You should understand that the Unity Party do have problem. They have relationship with the troop. They have serious relationship problems.
Cummings was never CFO.
So they will say that.
See.
But let me say this. Dr. Peabody, thank you for bringing a Harry Greaves thing, injured Topa, and all this other death. But what the Unity Party telling people that all the killing under their regime, that nothing. They don't care. No, we don't care for them. That's what the Unity Party is saying. Harry Greaves family, we don't care for you. Man was lying down on the beach, dead. They said no. He's not a proper Liberian. We don't care for him. That's what Unity Party people are saying. So they will never talk about that, but they will talk about different things. We're not talking about auditing. First of all, you should check who instructed them to audit. It's from the government. They will not just wake up and do auditing. So you should know that they check your facts. And the next time you come, we'll talk about it. They will prove it to you. So know that. And let me say this. Tomorrow, tomorrow will be the whole country, the city will lock down a blue city. You will see the biggest. Matter of fact, I think some statement that coming out of our partners there who recognize that and informing the people. I think moderator will read something like that, informing the people that tomorrow will be huge. They're saying that tomorrow will be huge. So Roland, I don't know if you're in America or Liberia, if you get somewhere to go in, I would advise you stay home.
I'm in Liberia, Kev. I'm in Liberia.
Okay, I'll advise you stay home. Although you enjoying, I can see you enjoying the sweetness of the electricity. You're enjoying it. Nothing going. You're enjoying it right now. So
who generator?
My man, that LEC you enjoy, man. No generator. So let me say, if you get somewhere to go, at least do it early, because tomorrow is gonna be tsunami, human tsunami. Will be in the country. But
let me read a statement from the U.S. Embassy that just came out. On Thursday, September 7th, the Coalition for Democratic Change (CDC) is scheduled to convene a large rally at Tomalin Stadium. The rally is anticipated to draw significant crowds that will gridlock traffic throughout Greater Monrovia. The embassy anticipates large crowds and impacts to vehicular traffic because of motorcade movement, road closures, and security cordons. Heavier than normal vehicular traffic caused by significant crowds will directly impact the free flow of movement in and out of the Mama Point, Central Monrovia, and Single neighborhoods. Well, U.S. Embassy gave a demonstration alert. Mr. Giddings, I think he already said UP will not be, they will suspend activities tomorrow to give CDC sent to carry on the blue rally.
And one thing, Mr. Moderator, please give me at least 30 seconds. Tomorrow, please, I'm advising all our partisans, because there will be a provocation from the Unity Party. There will be a provocation from the Unity
Why
Party.
You think so? Why you think so? Why you think so? For what?
Please stay out.
People should not move around
because we are aware of their provocation. We are aware of the provocation tomorrow.
Kev,
guys, we look forward tomorrow.
I'm telling you, please aware and don't fall into the trap. And
we'll have
but Tomalin, that's not something to boast or gloat about. I mean, what the American embassy is saying, I mean, that is wrong.
We want everybody that tomorrow we expect traffic tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, disrupt the lives, they disrupt the economy of the country.
It's wrong. I'm living close to DC. There's a rally in DC.
No, but they still have rules.
No, we stay in traffic forever.
Guys, tomorrow night.
It's one day. It's one day. Let it have that. Let it have that day.
Tomorrow night. They'll discuss tomorrow. Discuss the CDC rally tomorrow.
CDC have their day.
So tomorrow, let's come tomorrow and discuss the rally. Critique what happened and give our own analysis about what happened.
Yeah, it's not basically going to be under that process, right? It's going to be the combination of all the rallies. If you want to encapsulate that process of working on forth, you're going to see the reflection of the Liberian people rewarding a very illustrious lead of our time. That's why
tomorrow, y'all get ready to pack your bag, man.
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do.
Tomorrow, let's come and do the crossfire rally.
This person will initiate, this person will annoy the next person.
Man, you'll pack your bag. I think you want to pack your bag.
The next president. You will annoy the next president.
Thank you, guys.
2029.
Who, Samuel Toer? Samuel Toer?
Annoy the next president. 2029. I don't know who, but Samuel Toer has potential. So I don't know who, right? But it's going to be the cadre of the new generation. And Samuel Toer is part of the cadre of the new generation.
Okay.
So
I wish you were tomorrow.
Just a correction on that CFO. I was correct. He was
We
never
close,
the
please.
CFO of the company.
We close,
That
Jackie.
position was for Pillsbury International. There's a
So
difference.
what?
We're
But he
talking about
held a
company
job
at
like that
large.
before.
VP of Finance is not the same thing as CFO for a company.
Okay, good.
Jackie, don't waste your. Jackie, don't hell here.
Yeah.
Waga is going to be elected. Waga is going to be elected. It's not going to be elected. Don't ahead here. They're not going anywhere.
But anyway, I wish the CDC people the best tomorrow because there's only one day. Come to while your truck people, your own truck people. They
were truck people, of course. They have told civil servants to.
That is you to anybody. You're the truck people. You're truck people.
We don't truck people.
You're truck people too.
We don't truck people.
Our group is.
Have you seen our truck with people? We don't. People go by themselves. People go by themselves. We don't truck people.
Non-truck crowd. And Newcretown today. Y'all saw the movement. Y'all been seeing JB movement all over the place.
Good night, guys.
Everybody resolved.
Okay, good night.
Next president.
Bye, Jackie. See you. Okay. Jackie.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, anywhere in the world. I'm not going to say it here. We don't want no guys to know what we're doing. But when you walk into Peabody, just
Affordable insurance company? Then look no further. Peter Massaco Insurance, located in central New Jersey, is one of the best around. Peter Massaco Insurance specializes in homeowners insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, business insurance, and many more. We even offer a free financial planning consultation. We partner with over 20 top-rated companies to make sure we provide affordable prices to our clients. We have a full bilingual staff to fit your needs as well. Let Peter Massaco Insurance help you today.